Jason, though, in full control right now with the 4 Crumpet here. I like what I'm seeing. 2 eliminations and relative space to work with, and already they're starting to kind of choke out Drew and Chris's, angles here. Look at this, another knock. So Drew just really not catching a break at all right now.
Yeah, and it's a complete giveaway because Chris, even though they may not know exactly where he's at, as long as Drew keeps rebooting here, they know he's somewhere, and that's just free points for them. But Peterbot goes down to lights. You just saw that one shake down. Yamzo going down again, and this is kind of the struggles. It's only the second zone. Good luck trying to find a place to land because unlike when you're playing ranked, when you're playing pubs, where there's certain hot spots on the map, where there's a lot of loot on the outskirts where people don't get to touch, everybody has a drop spot here. Every single piece of loot, every chest will be uncovered. So good luck trying to come back.
Yeah, that's right. As you talk about that, Rapids sticking to his drop as well. Getting the north side. Look at this. 5 eliminations. My gosh. Already this game, they've earned somewhat more than all the effort combined from their last game. As Rapid gets a nice long range knock right there. You'd love to see it.
Rapid and Cold only getting 3 eliminations. Otherwise, Peterbot and Poyo in that last game, almost 2,000 damage as a team, 10 eliminations as well. They took only 1,300 damage, so already getting in good form when it comes to Peterbot and Poyo. They know how aggressive they can be, and they know as long as they control the tempo and the pace, they'll be all right. Jump for Osid and Scare. They're the ones kind of reaping the rewards because Slurpee Swamp is no longer housing Peterbot and Poyo, so they kind of got free reign from there.
Take a look. This highlight right here, Kanata showing us why he's got a seat at the big boy table. Don't play for him. Find himself a nice little elim there. Yamzo getting rebooted back in, and this is just the nature of what is the early game of Reload. It's back and forth, and it's kind of interesting, right? We watch so much, normal BR and FNCS, and the pacing here is just absolutely different. It feels like such a different environment watching top tier pros just go head to head. It's like just collision after collision, keeping things interesting.
Like
another quick highlight there.
Say 2x speed there for a moment with how much action is going down. Sometimes when I'm watching replay modes, trying to do my own VOD review, I put it 2 move speed, 3 speed, just trying to fast forward to the fights. This one, you almost want to slow it down so I can keep watching. Is Rapid and Cold again sticking to their strategy. They have 6 elimination, 18 points, Monster, already off of straight eliminations alone, and they haven't even left their POI.
Yeah, that's the difference, right? Between, finding let's just say a favorable fight, right? And a team to take advantage of that kind of starts off their game essentially on the wrong foot. You can really turn that into exponential amounts of points there. That's what we're seeing. So if you're like Chris and Higgs, it doesn't matter if you, play super consistent. If other teams are just, gonna dust you on the standings because they find themselves a lot of points, you're gonna have to adjust your strategy.
Yeah, so many major finals I've seen in this game for the past couple of years that truly do get decided by elimination points at the end of the day. We've seen Clicks, Higgs, and their trio, Iamzo at the time, lose out by 11 or so points. That was 3 eliminations at the time, and you don't really want to look back at the leaderboard getting 3rd, 4th, 5th place outside of that qualification spot saying, hey, if I could have just got 1 more elimination in 3 different games. As Peterbot and Poyo sticking to their strategy, they're going on the hunt early, only getting 2 eliminations here, but they're not necessarily too worried about their HP. You see the Med Mist Smoke, the Glowberry Fizz, even the Slap Splashes in their inventory, but they know exactly how many barrels, where to find them, so they don't have to dig deep into their utility.
Yeah, they have this drop on lock clearly here. One thing we do see that's different this time around, Clicks and Higgs do not want to, stick around Swamps if they don't have to. Jargo and King, though, find Kanata here. We're just giving them all the praise, and now he's going to have to go ahead and back off. So King and Jargo really finding their footing, showing us that first game was just a matter of, bad circumstance for them. The zone's now popped, though, as we're starting to see them decide to go back for a second here. So King doesn't want to situate himself without his teammate. In fact, they actually switch up their drop. They're going to go and wait for the zone and maybe come to them instead.
Yeah, I know it's only 5th zone. We still got 2 more to go before the reboots turn off, but this is where you got to start to be worried. We saw how many players already in this game start to get farmed, not able to touch the ground. Now imagine when the zone is closer and more compacted, where there's even less options to land from here on out. So going down here, whether you got the loadout or not, whether you got a good teammate or not, will be disastrous for your game plan. And that's why we are seeing so many teams, including Aegis Ritual here, use the zone zone as a way to rotate freely. I wouldn't say risk-free, though.
Yeah, definitely not risk-free. As we know, nowhere is safe in the Fortnite world, as long as there's others involved. Acorn, Bolts, though, maintain a little bit of high ground here. We talked about teams that are, again, more on the safer side. That's what we have here from Acorn and Bolts, positioning right now at the log jam, just going for that high ground, not really trying to get their hands too dirty. They're waiting to embrace the end game where they will clearly be able to shine. Last game, they played ultimate low, though. They had no interest in playing for height, and I cannot blame them given the given the loadout situation at hand here.
This becomes just a little bit too chaotic at times. Shadow and Virgo got to make a decision. Keep your high ground. Harp your way towards zone, wasting those materials, especially since they know Stiff and Loom are going to be right underneath. And you see the battle just kind of spraying back and forth. They're just trying to get them out of this position so they don't have to worry about them for now. It's not necessarily the elimination, or at least not just yet, as the Men Miss Smoke is going to come down for Shadow and Virgo, probably trying to wait as long as possible. If we get the elimination, we can save the Men Miss. That'll be our siphon. But since it is 5th going into 6th zone, it's too big of a risk.
One thing I am noticing across the different teams we're jumping in, a lot more Medmiss seems to be making its way into the loadouts of the professional players right now. Folks are, I think, recognizing like, hey, wait a second, maybe last game, I wasn't quite prepared for the end game. So Medmiss are going to likely open up a world of different opportunities, maybe even a different type of end game here as we can potentially edge our way towards more of a heal-off type situation. Drew and Chris, the team that did come in second last game, still finding their footing right now, rotating their way to new zone as jump back in with Yamzo and Josh here.
Seeing everybody just trying to rotate early up the side of that mountain. One of the last things you want to do is kind of be stuck underneath with a max pull if it does go over towards Steamy Stacks. And you can see it's actually, again, right over towards Steamy Stacks, just outside of it. So a lot of those teams, if they were underneath that mountain, they're going to have to either use their mobility to get above the mountain and then rotate in, or they're going to have to take the risk and just run it on foot. Drew and Chris made that risk early on, so they already rotated towards the zone. They're using the natural buildings inside of Steamy Stacks, not only to refarm their lost materials, but to cover up any sort of lines of sight.
I gotta say, that's probably the best rotate they could have made right there. Absolutely optimal. Jumping on over to Paper. Rezi here. Already kind of hanging out, looking at teams move around right now. This is where, of course, it's going to come down to a roll of the dice where the zone's going to end up pulling next. But Paper and Rezi sitting comfortable. A lot more points than many in the team. So clearly having a strong game number one.
Kind of like coming into this, they kind of started off, I do believe, in their heat with a win. They ended up getting second place underneath Ark and Kanata, who had a slow start to their day. Kanata and Ark finished off strong to take first. But it just goes to show, when it comes to Curving Praise, they have all the potential, even the world. I even know Faxity speaks very, very highly of Praise and his fighting abilities. It's just about meshing it all together in these tournaments. And I do think with it being reload, with the amount of chaos, the amount of how quick you have to play, I think it does suit his playstyle just a little bit. Just kind of looking at the loadout, empty item spot, a huge chunk of HP missing. Those are my worries.
Ager's Ritual low on health right now as the pressure starting to come in here. This is bad. Ager's gets melted there as well as another player jumps in the box. It's Ark and Kanata looking to make themselves known here. The presence has been heard. All right, you got it, buddy. But Ritual has something to answer back. And then the follow-up. Talk about having the heart to take that repeat with no HP right there. Kanata is absolutely second-guessing himself here. And wait, if I'm not mistaken, we're past the 7th zone now. Yup, things are not looking good for them. They're just going to have to play this one out. You saw for a second there, too. His stats say you have to make it all the way to 10th zone in the first game to even get placed. Just to stay in the running for some early points.
Yeah, can you believe we're only 7th zone? You still got 3 more zones to go before you can start to get any points through placement. For Josh and Yamzo, though, this is something I kind of expected. When I talk about the damage ratio, Josh Yamzo was one of those teams, but honestly, it wasn't even Josh with the higher damage ratio. ratio. It was Iamzo with not only the higher damage ratio of this duo, but the most out of any individual player. And you can kind of see the quick stats there. They're efficient when it comes to fighting in the end game. And I got to think, when you're a young player like Josh, I'm not going to call him a rookie by any means, you sometimes might have those nerves, but every single time I've seen him play as of recently, he has been on fire. And then you take someone like Iamzo that's kind of homegrown, going from solo tournaments to duos to trios, the fragger of him in Rise, and now emerging as not only one of the better IGLs, but a fighting IGL on top of that.
Yeah, Iamzo really earning his stripes here amongst the competitive ecosystem. Everyone knows. Gotta be careful when the big Zoe's in the lobby. Golden Rapid, one of the early ones to go in and take the first shockwaves to the front side of zone here. Everyone, of course, following suit. Peterbot Boya playing from the low ground. They're pretty situated, I must say. So far, so good. Oh, this time they actually do have, both have shockwaves. Okay, so they're much, I would say, better fighting position now than they were in game one. In game one, they somehow managed to turn that into a victory situation for themselves.
Just like in game one, you're mentioning a lot of kind of repeats, some changes. Bolt and Acorn, again, that launch pad. It's not the regular one. It's the bigger, better one that sends you farther and higher up in the sky. And they're combining it with the Flowberry Fizz. They're trying to get out of render distance. Look at everybody down below. Shockwave to the front side of zone. Some overshooting the distance, getting inside of zone. They're getting chunked out. Arc by himself. We saw Kanata go down. Chris is in a similar situation, but he gets a good amount of damage. Unfortunately, unable to get the elimination, but and he saw it was clear for a moment. They battles between regular and moppings, but inside deep, it's Bolt and Acorn. They use the render distance, they use the launch pad, and the med miss smoke. A sacrifice that they hope is worth it.
I gotta say, this is just excellent execution right there. And then Mope and team, they just give it up. They're like, you know what? You got it, buddy. You can have the high ground. They were just pretty much outclassed, and that's a bad shockwave. Sends regular absolutely exposed there and just taking out the sky, swatted, if you will. Now look at this. It's Bolts on high ground. Take a little 1v1. It's going to push him off. Acorn trying to see if he can secure the eliminations. It doesn't quite go his way, so he manages to back his way back out of it. But Acorn and Bolts now setting themselves up to earn placement points here.
And they still have the launch pad just in case, the Flowberry Fizz, so they can float down. And Bolts right now with that drum gun. Saw him beaming somebody out of the sky. It's not even that accurate. It's just Bolt using it that well. Peterbot, Koyo, you see in the picture-in-picture on the side, trying to put pressure, clear these players out from underneath. Full rotation coming through. That's Clicks! Peterbot taking down Clicks, leaving Iamzo as a solo, getting the siphon, getting the materials, and immediately charging to the front side of the zone.
The opposites attract. It's like they just can't get away from each other. Peterbot always manages to find himself in that type of clash here. The story goes on. And that puts him at 3 eliminations here. But, you know, one thing I am noticing, Peterbot Boya running low on hard material here, down to just wood. So they are going to be looking to possibly make a desperate play. But Acorn and Bolts are so high up that I don't even think they're going to allow a mistake like that to happen. So that's just off the table. All the other teams are going to have to force their way down. And Bolts and Acorn might just walk their way into the end game here.
Yep, Vapor taking out Iamzo. We saw Clicks go down, so Higgs going to be left by himself. Nobody really has a chance to look up, like you were saying, as Higgs makes a quick peek onto Aloe, misses the opportunity to get the down. Poyo's going to get dropped. Peterbot left by himself. For some reason, though, I don't have too many worries. We've seen this man solo clutch so many times before. Picks up a quick elimination outside of the zone, but it's only for the materials. No siphon going through, and he's immediately building up. He's trying to separate himself from everybody down below, but he made himself the focal point from Acorn and Bolts.
He can get focused all he wants. I mean, his mechanics and his decision-making, he was just too clean. He got up and out of that problematic situation, and where another player probably would have gotten taken out, he manages to survive the situation. And Higgs is doing something just well as well. Down in the bottom right screen, finding a set of eliminations, and that puts him right back into things. So he's got an opportunity now to make something happen.
Now, both of them really just kind of going through it. Higgs being stuck outside of the zone while getting targeted, but he's finally able to make it through. Same cannot be said by Peterbot. Bolts is able to get that elimination. Him and Acorn untouched up above, and they find another one as they take down Lawrence. That's their 4th elimination of the game. There's only one other duo. Everybody else solos down below, and that's why you're seeing Higgs take so much pressure from up above. The other solo, Virgo, knocking on the door, and he takes down Higgs. Now Virgo is going to be the lone man by himself left with 2 duos to go against.
Listen, this is not looking great for Bolt and Aircorn. They are low on medium ammo. They have to make something big happen here. And of course, they land right into the elims and close the game there, Jacob. 5 big points there for themselves as they close that one out.
Yeah, just that early launch pad deep into zone. They sacrificed 2 med-miss grenades to get that deep and hold that position. Since then, they built so high, nobody could look back. Big win for Acorn and Bolt. Zeke, Kelly, Vivid. Let's break down that action.
Whew, okay, all right. As long as Peterbot and Pollo fall, everything is good. Just kidding, I lied. Everything is not okay because Acorn Bolts, they get themselves a victory royale. Viv, I think what's really exciting about this game was it was kind of looking really bad for the duo, but a clutch situation helps propel them to get a victory royale.
Yeah, I mean, what an incredibly well-played game number 2. I feel like the highlight for everybody right there, right? Jacob was kind of talking about it. Their ability to go ahead and just launch pad all the way up into the sky using this Flowberry Viz. And then they kind of just sat here and they waited for the next zone to reveal itself. And once it did, once it was like, oh, hey, I'm going to the south, they landed on some old builds. They put down the med miss that were necessary and started to apply the pressure. After this, Kelly, they had height for the rest of the game. The win was on the back of that single play right there.
Oh, I mean, you could see it once the camera pulled away, just how high of the high ground they held. We kept talking about how Peter kind of had second height, but it literally was like 10 layers down. Here we have it. When you have the shockwave grenades, they just don't go up that high. And by this point, so much other mobility is already used. Bolt knew exactly what to do, dropping down here. Incredible elimination coming out of him. And honestly, I think this is kind of what we expected from Bolt and Acorn, especially out of the performance that we saw from the Heats. They got first place out of their Heats as well. Bolt has been putting in so much time in practice in the reload mode especially, and I love to see it pay off.
Recent signing and Twisted, I feel like they're like, hey, look at this guy. Acorn's pretty cool, right? Yes, yes, indeed he is. Now, of course, we do still have 6 games left to go. A short break first. When we come back, we discuss game number 2 and prep ourselves for game number 3. I broken? Don't know what you're talking about. Welcome back to the Reload Elite Series. Game number 2 goes over to Acorn and Bolts. Oh my gosh, fantastic showing from them, especially with this unique strategy of just sitting in the storm, sitting on the mist. Love to see it. But what else happened in that game? We kind of saw it a little bit, right, Vivid and Kelly? Peterbot, Pollo, Peterbot rolling around as a solo. Now, if this was really like most, like 99% of other duos, right, Vivid, this is like scary. But when it's Peterbot solo, he just comes more alive.
Exactly. We were kind of having that conversation. He was like, "Oh no, Pollo's out," and I was like, "Yes." So still got Peterbot left alive here to go ahead and continue to pick up some points here for the duo. Honestly, not necessarily one of his best solo clutches. I was able to pick up a couple of more points. Kind of hoping for a little bit more. Picked up a couple of placements at the end of the day, but unfortunately just could not get himself off of that secondary height. So just kept feeling the pressure of the high ground of the Acorn and Bolts. After game number 2, though, because they still made it towards that end game, right, top 6 there for Peterbot and Pollo, they still reign supreme. They're still on top of the leaderboard, 130 points, but Kelly, Acorn and Bolts closing the gap.
Are they? That's almost a 50% difference of points right now between first and second place. Acorn and Bolts doing a great job, though, in that game. If anyone's going to start trying to take away that first place spot, it might be that duo right there. But also, we had another incredible solo clutch coming out of Higgs. Clicks going down a little early, but Higgs, we saw him in the solo series. When he is a solo, it is not too much to worry about because he can just absolutely tear. Even when it's a 1v2, Higgs is not down.
Yeah, I really hope we don't get into this little bit of a pattern here for Clicks and Higgs. We've kind of seen this happen before where a lot of the points, and it's been with different duos, by the way, but it just seems to be something that is synonymous with Clicks, is that sometimes on his teams, it's just like a lot of the points just come from these solo clutches, and I really want to see them alive as a duo, right? Just a strong, steady duo in a lot of the games. So being left to like some solo clutches in game number 1, game number 2 is not so good for the duo. But hey, listen, they're picking up those points, right? They're putting on those solo performances, so it is still going well. They are in 5th place, but just imagine how much better they could be doing if they are both able to stay up and healthy.
The game does feel very chaotic, right? Like, obviously, this is very different to BR, and you can reload earlier on in the game until Zone 7. But, you know, how do we maybe approach this? We both need to stay alive as long as possible because, look, 2 high-profile duos, right, are ending up as solos. So is there things we can do to combat this?
I mean, sometimes it's a little bit hard, right? When you think about reload and how much ability is in the game, you're able to, all these duos are able to stay so healthy until the very end of the game because they just have so many options available for the rotate. So usually when they go into those end games, their mats are just so healthy. And, Clicks and Higgs, they're those type of players that they like to pick on the players that aren't necessarily as healthy. So the fact that there's going to be less of them in reload, maybe they need to make some adjustments there. But like I said, we can go ahead and nitpick here, but they're still in 5th place. They're still doing good.
Yeah, honestly, the only criticism I could give them is that nitpicking, making sure that they do top off, if they have to go back into Storm to get some more mats, or to get some more heals, making sure that they are, once that Zone 9 kind of hits, that they kind of just run out of everything, and they're not able to kind of come back and get that refresh, get those eliminations on the low ground. And I think that they kind of just need to pick their battles a little easier. Like I said, it's nitpicking. Who are we to talk? It's hard to really judge Clicks and Higgs when there's just so many other good teams. It's not necessarily what they're doing wrong, but what everyone else is doing right.
Yeah, I think some duos we're seeing already kind of like pressure the lobby, which I really like. Like if I look at Rapid, for example, he's kind of farming and kind of what we saw at the Pro-Am, the little allié situation, but as players kind of respawn, there is that opportunity to kind of press them. They come out of it's very clear where they're kind of coming back into the game, right? We have this big rift effect, Vivid, and suddenly you've got someone dropping out. When you have players that can laser I can't even see that. That's a pixel to me. But to them, it's so clear, and their aim is so deadly.
Yeah, I really liked this game from Rapid and Code. We were kind of talking about, hey, is the end game going to be a little bit different? Are they going to be up, going contesting for the high ground there? Yeah, their end game was definitely a little bit different. We didn't see them necessarily going for the high ground like we did in game number 1. But the early game was also completely different, right? Going ahead and pressuring towards some of those eliminations and picking up. We saw 6 right there, and the game had barely even started. Love to see that for the duo.
Yeah, that's definitely helping them as far as the leaderboard is considered. They've gone 12th place and 7th place now, but with 12 eliminations, they're actually 2nd place right now for elims. And with it being 3 points per elimination, that is definitely helping them. They just got to find that placement to kind of balance things out.
I wanted to highlight here as well Lawrence and Batman Joe in 9th place. The kind of swingy nature of the competition, right? So their first game, 17th place with only 2 elims, but this game here, a 5th place with 8 eliminations, and now they're inside the top 10. I feel like this is gonna come down to the wire, but guys, I feel like we do need these kind of pop-off performances, right? If I can reload, let's just send it.
Oh, Zeke, man. Zeke's like, yeah, man, go ahead. I can float down from the sky and then just give Rapid a bunch of these eliminations like just happened that game. Zeke, man, that's not how it works, bro.
Yeah, no, Zeke, let's get into reload right now. Let's play. I want to see how you like to play your games right now after that.
Yeah, we'll just hop in right now. We'll become the 21th duo, but it'll be 3 of us. And Vivid can carry us to a win. Guys, we are getting ready to jump back into more of the action. This is game 3 of 8. So, casters, over to you.
I, for one, would love to see Zeke play some reload. I don't know about you, Monster. Maybe even put him in one of these lobbies. But the action continues to top. Who would have thought game 2 had moments that were better than game 1?
Yeah, I mean, look, for some, you're walking on a sunny side of the street. For others, it's a cold, brisk breeze, man. It's not looking good. But hey, Reload has told us one thing. Every game can go any which way. The pendulum can swing if you can just find your momentum in that early game and lock someone out, farm those points early.
Yeah, with it being an 8-game series, consistency truly is key. Yes, you might have to pick up eliminations at the end of the game, but you're seeing outside of maybe the 32-point lead for first, how close the leaderboard actually is. One game can bump you from 10th to 5th, and then from there, you can probably bump into the top 2 spot, because that's exactly what everybody is playing for today. That top 2 will get you to the finals later on this year.
Yeah, and it becomes a game of mental stress at this point. Can you stay locked in? And, look away from Peterbot and Pollo. They have a lot of points, but game 3 is here. Let's jump on this battle bus.
It might be a little too early to start switching up your game plan, but depending on where you're at on the leaderboard, you might have to start to thinking, hey, what is the best way to start to close that gap? Depending on whether you're 50 points down, how do I get it to 40 after this game? How do I get it to 30? And just kind of chip away at that deficit until you're good, as King once again starting this contested fight off. Last game, it was Iamzo who went down first. This game, it is going to be Josh.
Yeah, King and Jargu have only found their success in the first set of eliminations. Making it to endgame has been fairly difficult for this team and many others. Yamzo, Josh, of course, not going to let that deter them, though, from having a good game. Holden Rapid continue to push the press here over at the Steamy Stacks. We know there's a llama to the north. We'll see if they end up finding it, as they do tend to stay in the storm no matter what. For Reg and Mopping here, they seem to be doing just fine with their side of the map.
Yeah, and this is interesting. Like I spoke about, for game 1, triple contested, regular contested, and then uncontested. But as the day goes on, you're seeing teams realize, hey, maybe elsewhere there's not the loot that we'd hope. Maybe it's not the best fight in positioning. So you're seeing them inching their way back on over to Steamy Stacks. We'll check how it works out for them later. But it does like looking at the feed. Sharkman, regular again from Colt, and Iamzo. 3 more players just kind of going down. Luckily for them, they still have their teammates to kind of reboot them. But as Zeke and Vivid and Kelly broke down, it's almost like a beacon. You see the rip from the sky, you have to drop down, and with the mobility that's in this game, you more than likely will get chased.
That is definitely certain. Getting back over to King and Jargu, they just seem to have continued. I think they might have sent Iamzo back to the lobby. We don't see them nearby, but they do have a nice set of eliminations, seem to have the drop themselves at the moment.
Josh, I was looking just all around. Where is Iamzo at? Maybe he got out safe already. Peterbot show continues over towards Slurpee. You see Higgs making his appearance over on that side of the map, and it becomes more and more contested, even if not at the drop, right after players are able to get a little bit of a loadout and feel comfortable starting to fight. Peterbot, instead of chasing one, he goes after who's closer. Maybe no mobility, but the shockwave comes out from Higgs. Good shots coming out from Pete, but not enough to get the down yet. But with the last crash pad, he's going to continue on the chase, but Higgs has mobility of his own. It's the cat and dog. Shockwave versus crash pads. Can they catch up? Clicks tries to close the distance to lend a helping hand, but Peterbot is not backing off.
Oh my gosh, there goes another shockwave sending them. This time Clicks is low on HP as well. This is just starting to crumble beneath them at the moment, and the pressure here from Pollo as well. It's not just Peterbot. Pollo's already in the mix, but it's a 2v1 onto Higgs right now. Higgs still putting up a great fight. Finds wonderful tags onto Pollo, but it's Pollo who gets the siphon as well, and they just have more than enough to go ahead and bounce back. So this is looking like a repeat of that major two where Clicks is kind of off in the distance and Peterbot and Pollo on the other side. Or really just Peterbot, but you know, they're thinking about that fight once again.
Higgs having to kind of drop back down. That's kind of where they land right out of the gate, so they do know where some of that loot left over is. It's just basically having to restart fresh here when it comes to your materials and getting all of your utility, whether it's the heals, the grapples, or the shockwaves. So from scratch from them, but with Higgs coming back into the game along with Click staying alive, they're going to have a chance in this game still. Acorn and Bolts coming fresh off of that win. You see they already got one early game elimination and kind of sticking to their plan. Acorn and Bolts usually play out every single one of their early games as slow as possible. If the zone pulls away, that's a blessing for them because they can use the launch pads. They can use the shockwaves with the Flowberry Fizz to get there safely versus everybody else rotating together.
Yeah, it's definitely a duel that is dependent on playing for placement points. It's the reason they're up at the top of the standings right now. But hey, this is only game 3, and realistically, if you tune out at any time, by the time you tune back in, these games are going by very, very fast. For Cold and Rapid right now, 70 points, holding them up. 2 eliminations this game, so pacing relatively decent here, still at the steamy stacks.
And this is where I talk about the difference in eliminations, because to start this game, Cold and Rapid were in 8th place. With those eliminations, they moved up to 7th. They're 1 more point away from Scare and Osid on that leaderboard. And this is kind of what I'm going to be trying to look at once we get to Game 7, Game 8. I'm going to become a mathematician, trying to break it down to figure out who actually qualifies at the end of the day. And we're just seeing how different everybody's playing it around the map. If you're out of zone, it almost seems like you have a little bit more freedom.
Peterbot, Pollo, making sure no one's in their vicinity is going to have freedom to do anything with the loot that they want to make sure they secure here. But for them, it's really picking up the lead, right? Opening and widening that gap between themselves and everyone else. 2 elims right now. Well, that's uncommon for Peterbot to actually loses track of the opponent he was chasing. And process of elimination says, all right, you got to be in here, buddy.
And even though he's looking for that elim, I almost think it's worth it for them to be able to farm that, but I think he saw the foot as he jumped over. It's a little pixel there. Yeah. Peterbot's able to see, and then you kind of look at his loadout. 3 different slurp juices. If you end up in a prolonged fight against Peterbot, it almost will feel like you have to eliminate him 3 different times in a singular fight. That's going to be scary once he gets into his groove.
Yeah, you wouldn't think someone could just build like a juggernaut loadout in a game mode like this one, but he is just going unpunished right now in the lobby. Yamzo and Josh, though, just trying to make do with what Cold and company have left behind here. And it seems to be playing out pretty well for them so far. Take a look at the replay. Well, they did end up giving Cold that extra elimination here at the vending machine, so that's going to be a welcomed set of points for them. Rituals, Agers here, just kind of hanging out right now, just biding their time now as things are starting to settle down. Again, as we get closer to Zone 5 is where the pacing has almost converts, right? We start looking at things a little differently.
Yeah, that risk-reward scenario kind of comes into play. Early game, you can get away with a lot, but as the zone closes, it's getting harder and harder. As Vlex gets taken out, Ritual and Agers kind of triangulate that position to get 1 less player off their side of the map. But just judging by the fall in loot, it almost seems like he was fresh rebooted right out of the sky. Light is staying alive, so even though they may not know exactly where Light is positioned, they know he's just right there somewhere as Vleeks continues to spawn. You see in the Rift open up, and it's not just Ritual and Agers he has to worry about, it's so many other teams.
Yeah, this is it's like the guy just, you know, walking down the street, whistling, you know, hey, we look over there, there's someone. Yep, exactly. Your spot's just getting given up. Either way, Peterbot, Pollo back to it at the Slippery Saw. Another team moving on in to their general location. A marker comes out, so Pollo's getting a bit of a fight here potentially. See if Peterbot manages to jump out and meet him there. That clicks. I think it's Clicks and Higgs again.
They do land nearby. We already saw them. Because it's uncontested by Peterbot and Pollo, not only only them, but other teams as well want to steal away some of that loot. Aloe, we saw him kind of get farmed out of the sky a little bit. Luckily for him, he is able to drop. You see in the med kit, that's going to be much needed. The vending machine, he cashes in on some of that gold. He realizes, hey, we might need to take our time. We might need to find a little bit more for our loadout, the materials that we're missing. So I like the play, you know, not getting down on themselves and not making any desperate purchases this early into game 3.
Shadow Virgo kind of slept on so far. They're at third place coming into this. No elims just yet here. Zone 5 creeping on us. What are they trying to do right now at the Dirty Docks? Okay, so they pretty much have a bit of another, I would say a favorable zone, right? It's just outside the Dirty Docks here. Game 1 obviously finished here, and that played out very well for them. We'll see what they can do with Game 3 here. They're trying to keep a low profile. They're definitely looking to play for placement points once again. It's what's working best for them so far.
Get zone, it's one of those things where community looks at it, even you and I or analysts probably look at it, these are like must-win games when you get the zone on your side of the map, especially in a game mode like this in Reload where anything can happen at a moment's notice. We jump on board Acorn and Bolts. We saw a lot of their slow rotations throughout the first couple of games. This time around, 5th zone. They're already making it there early, and now they have decisions depending on what mobility they actually want to use. The zone is not too far away. They could one-hop this with a crash pad, but their strategy so far in the 2 previous games is the launch pad with the Flowberry Fizz.
Yeah, we'll see what they end up doing here. There goes the crash pad, so they've made the quick decision. Seems like is already a decision in the making. Kanata Arc follows suit as well. They find themselves to the front. Clicks and Higgs back on the other side as well. Just playing that low ground, keeping out of the line of sights here. This is a nice clean rotate for them as well.
I think that's the important differences when you kind of look at a situation, and you think a lot of these situations are the same, but you're noticing some teams, when you're this close to zone, are going to use a shockwave. They're going to use a crash pad. Others will try to walk in and utilize that mobility later if they need it. They try to bring it with them farther and farther into these games. That's exactly what you see Clicks and Higgs is doing. They could one-shock it, safely make it indoor zone, maybe risk getting tagged up a little bit, but they're using other people's rotations, other people's builds that are already there as a safe way to find their way in.
Yeah, I do like that. I didn't even think that was going to be an option at that point, but good comms and good calls by them. Put themselves in a stronger position, and it doesn't cost them any materials, so definitely favorable. Here we have it, zone 6 now. Starting to work its way and progress through. Kanata are completely farming out this building, turning it inside and out. Trying to just get back in the game. Notice that, you know, their material count is not the hottest here, considering we're right into the end, but still, things could be lot worse for them.
Yeah, and kind of take note about Ark and his kind of rise to the scene last year, winning one major, close to winning a next with Sauco in school on NA West. He goes into the global championship. You see him on Aussie stream 1v1ing and dominating almost everybody. I think this is his first actual big final on the Central with Kanata, trying to show that, hey, you took the chance in me, I'm really going to make it worth it. And while other people took chances, Paper's doing the same thing. Rezi, a relatively newer player to the scene, and honestly, looking through heats, it was looking very bleak for them, almost not qualifying. But game 8 of their heats, they not only qualified, but it came a way of a victory royale monster, showing that they do have the blueprint already.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just those small moments of greatness that give you hope, right? Especially in your duo. When you guys are new, you got to work a lot out. A lot of these teams have known each other for long periods of times, right? They're friends, but when you have someone like Rezi, let's just say it's maybe a little bit more new to the community, there's a lot to be desired there and lots to work on. So we'll see what they can keep doing as they find their moments. But Bolts and Acorn, very much consistent duo here. They seem to have figured things out. We talked about synergy amongst duos, you know. This is not a team we've seen play with one another in the last couple of years. So we'll see how that ends up continuing to develop through. We jump on over to Peterbot in Pollo. Back like they never left. We've used that phrase so many times as we start to look at how this team manages to perform time in and time out.
Yep, already 3 eliminations. Seeing the Flowberry Fizz, again, they're just kind of making sure they have a diverse amount of mobility from shockwaves, crash pads, and you know as well as I do, the Flowberry Fizz has that utility, the low grab effect. can kind of jump around even without actual mobility items to try to close distances. As Clicks and Higgs kind of peek through, waiting for the next zone. As it does pop, it pulls all the way towards the south. It's not a max pull for Clicks and Higgs by any means, but they still have a few teams in front of them on this rotation that they have to watch out for.
Yeah, definitely got to continue to keep their eyes peeled here. As we start to take a panning look at what's going on right now. Everyone's kind of hanging out. Acorn's team going for the Medmis deep in the zone right there. Just trying to buy themselves some time before they make a big rotate and possibly cost themselves anything. Shockwaves, of course. This is the time to use them. Showing Agers on their way possibly to high ground, but no, they just opt to give that one up. So notice that's what really good teams will do. Most of them will decide, not a shot, I'm playing high ground first. Not in this lobby, not in this type of course, mobility meta with the shockwaves at play.
Yeah, we know Acorn and Bolts have that launch pad. I knew I saw somebody fly by at the corner of my screen, and I was thinking, was that Acorn and Bolts? Then I saw them down below. Somebody is stealing the strategies, the bag of tricks. It's cold and rapid this time around, using that launch pad to try to go ahead and dodge everything that happens down below. But notice where Rapid landed. He didn't go down below. He's trying to hold as much of the high ground as possible. As Curve goes down to Peterbot, him and Poyo make quick work of him and get that refresh that they need to keep themselves strong.
Yeah, here it is. One more team falls here shortly, and that'll be placement points earned to the lobby. Very crucial moments coming up ahead. And notice, even though no one was on high ground, Cold and Rapid seem to have learned their lesson. They're like, all right, we're just boxing up, man. We're not going to be doing anything too risky, not just yet. Clicks and Higgs, on the other hand, have to play for some elims here. This is a game where they have essentially dudded out on earning points so far, but we are, again, in this final stretch here. Peterbot says, you know what? You don't want it. I do. He goes straight to the top. King and Jargu try to get themselves out of that render distance. Like we continue to talk about, teams will do that. And look, they're gone, but not for long. What goes up must come down. And they're forced an early descent.
Yeah, and I like the awareness, knowing the difference between the launch pads and the shockwaves, knowing they don't need to protect themselves. Cold and Rapid, they're almost non-existent. They're stuck in that mess that is down below. Kanata and Arc continue to drop down layers. They don't want to become that focus of the high ground. We've seen it game after game after game. Whoever's that second height usually is the threat, and they get all of that pressure. So for Kanata and Arc, they're just trying to fall underneath the radar. They get to the front side of the zone, but look how stacked it is. Everybody's being displaced, including Lawrence that goes down to Bolts. A much-needed elimination because you look at him taking those ticks to the zone that no longer matter because he gets the HP and ends up with a whole nother box. I don't know if that was Arc or Kanata, but they almost got sent packing.
This is crazy. Bolts is just scrambling right there. He's like, I don't even know if this is my med miss. We gotta go. And he is burning through those shockwaves just to stay in the game like any exceptional player would. Clicks and Higgs, though, fall before they even get to find their footing to the hands of Agers there. Jumping over to Jason Oliveira. Low ground here on the side of the mountain. This is a desperate opting to stay up top. No one contesting them at all as we jump down to low ground. A complete different scenario at hand here. Agers and Ritual are comfortable, and they have 7 elims there, Jacob.
Yeah, because of that terrain on the ground, there's not even players really rotating right above them. Paper and Rezi are the ones that have all that action. That's why they move out towards the right, trying to dodge it all. But Peterbot and Boyo laughing ear to ear, just sending everybody to clash with one another, pressuring the top side of the boxes, burning through their materials. And look how far they are away from everybody else on that high ground. Not a singular shockwave without the Flowberry Fizz can't even reach heights that high. But Cold and Rapid, they continue to get sprayed. Cold runs out of builds, ends up on the offensive, going after Bolts, lands a shot, but unable to get the elimination, getting put in the blender as Rapid falls, Cold follows. It's his former teammate Acorn that gets the elimination.
Yeah, somehow Acorn's still in this game. Peterbot and Boyo opt to give up a little bit of that height there as they put themselves into harm's way. Paper goes up. He's going to send them falling down, but not before he gets knocked. Rezi still in the fight. There goes the siphon for Peterbot now, and they maintain control of the situation. Back to 8 eliminations, working their way towards another potential victory royale here. Acorn goes up and tries to send them flying with shockwaves there.
Yeah, that was a good play for Acorn, but they saw that one coming from a mile away. And luckily for him as well, as he's elevated. He's not on that ultimate low ground where all this is going down. Peterbot drops and uses the first slurp, gets into the mist grenade, drops Poyo the other slurp, and goes right back on towards zone, realizing, hey, I have to disrupt everything that's going down on the inside. Ritual goes down to the zone itself. Peterbot still flopping around, gets the elimination on Agers. That's going to be a wipe, but it comes at a cost. Poyo goes down. Now it's a 1v1 Peterbot versus Acorn, and he gets dropped from above. No chance at survival as Peterbot clutches up his second game of the day.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought Acorn was gonna have a little bit more of a fighting chance, but the limited mats and the low HP turns the tide in Peterbot's favor as they win another game here today. The third game is now complete there. Zeke, what do you think about that one?
What do I think, MDF? Listen, I already sound the red alert earlier, okay? Peterbot, Poyo, we allowed them to reconnect. We allowed them to form a duo yet again, and they just continue to put on a masterclass. I cannot believe it, and I love to think back on that first game and how they got the 10 elim victory out. The context was different, right? Back then, Peterbot had the grappler. This time, he doesn't, Vivid, and yet still has enough time to drop a shock for Poyos, to still go in, to still take the fight down low, and walk away with a win. I mean, dude, Peterbot is just different. He is just built different.
Yeah, I mean, they just seemingly always know exactly what they need to do. Absolutely incredible stuff there, right? You saw them. They had the high ground. They were very, very willing to kind of give it up. We'll talk about that in a moment here, but look at this already. Total points, 220. A huge game 3 for the duo. Absolutely incredible stuff. But yeah, again, kind of returning to that higher ground, I do want to go ahead and say that my favorite point in this game was when the shockwaves in that final zone started to fly up, right? Everybody started to kind of use them to try to go up, make some sort of a last-ditch effort play. Peterbot and Poyo did something incredible. They actually shockwaved themselves out into the storm, and then knowing that they had a med-miss grenade to go ahead and use, go ahead and reset, make sure they're not in all of that mess, and then rejoin the fight, gave them that best chance to go ahead and win this game. And obviously you have Peterbot left in a 1v1 situation. Who's going to win that 90% of the time? The man himself.
I mean, there's no one else that could have done that besides Peterbot and Poyo. To effectively lose, what, like 130, 140 white heals just to be able to reposition themselves in the end game and to then go for the win there. Peterbot didn't have full health in that final moment there as a solo player. And still, it didn't matter for him because he knew he was going to get the eliminations. He positioned himself so well where the low two teams were fighting each other. He was able to get that refresh, get that elim, and then the rest is history.
I mean, only Peterbot. Am I right? Only Peterbot. I'm glad to see these guys join at the hip once again because, man, Poyo just creates so much space and opportunity and confidence in Peterbot. I love to see it. Now, of course, more things did happen first. A break. When we come back, more from the RES. See you in a minute. Fortnite fam, welcome back to the Reload Elite Series. Game number 3. Once again, Peterbot Pollo, 10 eliminations, 230 points. Oh, man. Let's dissect what else we saw, right? Because I'm sure as we move through the rest of the show, we'll probably end up talking about Peterbot and Pollo more. So let's give some highlights where they're due. Acorn and Bolts. Man, oh, man. Showing up big here in that game. Again, you know, maybe Peterbot Pollo are starting to pull too far away, but if anyone can keep up, I gotta think it's Acorn and Bolts.
I mean, Acorn and Bolts, right, their first game of the day. Started a little slow there in 8th place, but after that, second and third games, it's been a win and a second place. And the cool thing about this for me is that they've been completely different in terms of how they've actually played the end game. We saw in their win, they played the high ground, they went out into the storm, they did this cool little play, and then in game number 3 here, they were actually playing the low ground, right? Looking for some of those eliminations to keep their refreshes going. And that's what I really, really like to see. Acorn, of course, we know him, one of the best IGLs in the game. Paired up with a fragger, it just always works.
And it's not just a fragger. We've been watching Bolts since back when it was Bryce and Bolts, and you know, a lot of eyes were on that duo. They were kind of the new shining duo a few years ago, and to see Bolts continuing to just climb up and to increase his ability and to join up, like you said, with one of the best IGLs in the game, well, that is why they're currently sitting in second place. But I am already starting to see quite a separation from first and second to the rest of our lobby, and of course, that is the 2 teams that are going to be making their way to the EWC later on. Agers and Ritual, though, that big jump up, that does go to show that there's still opportunity for many of our teams to jump up into those top 2 spots.
Yeah, right. I mean, even in that last game, Agers and Ritual got themselves a 3rd place with 10 eliminations, right? These swings, they can happen, and we do have 8 games, right? Like, we need to kind of continue to fire on all cylinders. We need to try and get as many points as we can, and then at the end of those 8 games, we can kind of see where the cards fall, right? But right now, you know, Vivid, we need to kick things into high gear. We're about to start game number 4. And so I like to see that now, Agers Ritual, they're like, hey, this is our game. We're alive. We're still in this.
Yeah, I mean, incredible game from the duo here. Controlling the low ground for the entirety of the game. This is kind of what Ellie was talking about, expecting to see from the likes of Higgs. But the other side of things is actually Ritual and Agers kind of claiming a lot of that low ground down there. But I already mentioned it, 9 placements jumping up the leaderboard there. Huge game for them.
I mean, honestly, I kind of like this difference between Agers and Ritual with Acorn and Bolts. I think they both kind of represent the same duo. You have these very intelligent players in Acorn and Ritual, and then you have the fragging prowess. But Agers is definitely a veteran and a long-time competitor. So Ritual and Agers together, I think, has a lot of potential.
Let's keep going down this list, right? I want to go to 5th, Cold and Rapid. Another 5th place with 3 eliminations, right? Like, hey, it's maybe not 24 eliminations, but the placements, we just try to find ourselves a footing, right? We need to build toward this consistency. And I'll admit, look, Reload, it's hard to do that sometimes, right? But we need to start kind of kicking ourselves into high gear. And this is Cold we're talking about, right? Rapid as well. I have confidence.
Yeah, just kind of keeping an eye on this too after game number 1 where they did try to play for that high ground. They did get it, but because of everybody that was kind of going for it, they fell a little bit short, right? Picked up 12th place. And ever since then, they've been progressively getting better throughout those games. I still would really like them to see that, try that high ground again, try to go ahead and claim it, because we've actually seen now that it is possible. They just got to go ahead and give it another try.
On game number 1.
I wanted to also kind of go back to the lobby list real fast and highlight 4th place, Paper and Resi. So out of them, first game 4th, then a 10th, then a 4th place again. We're kind of lacking on the eliminations, but listen, the consistency of placement is there, right? So now we just have to look to find those eliminations, and then I think we're set, right, Vivid?
How does Paper keep getting away with it, man? This guy like unretires from the game every couple of like 4 months and just comes back and qualifies for a final like this with somebody who a lot of us who have never heard of before, right? He just constantly finds talent in the Fortnite scene, brings them up to speed, and then qualifies for events like this. It is always incredible to see how well he does in these types of situations.
Honestly, I would love for this duo to stick together for the remaining finals that we have. I think that there's a lot of potential between the 2 of them, and it's Paper. He's a longtime veteran. If anyone's going to be able to kind of learn reload and learn the meta, it might be him.
I love it. Okay, guys, almost at that halfway point. Game number 4 is ready. So find your seats on the bus. Casters, take it away.
That's right. Game number 4 is almost here. We're approaching that rough halfway mark, and there has been so much going down here. But one thing's for certain, the leaderboards don't lie there, Jacob. Things are looking good for the boys up top.
Yeah, consistency really is key, and that's what our top two have separated themselves. It was a 32-point lead over first and second. That has stretched, but so has second place lead over the rest of the pack. And I wouldn't want to wait until the second half of the tournament. I think this all starts right here. So if you're Paper and Rezi, if you're Agers and Ritual, if you're Cold and Rapid, now is the time to pick up that pace.
Yeah, it does make you wonder what is going to be the difference maker. How can you find yourself in a situation to excel ahead and still somehow slow down maybe even Peterbot and Pollo, or do you just forget first and say, hey, I want that other qual spot, like that is what I'm fighting for? Well, we'll just have to find out as game number 4 is here.
As the games do continue, game 4 is the important game before the halfway point, and you've really got to look at that leaderboard and reflect on what's going right, what's going wrong, and how to find that success. See Paper and Rezi, a triple contested Dirty Docks, and they're performing that well. This contested fight, King and Jargu have been winning it more times than not. Not necessarily wiping Josh and Iamzo, but pushing them back, getting eliminations, and basically getting most of the loot out of the Boomin' base.
Yeah, they're doing a good job here. Definitely slowing down Iamzo's kind of momentum, right? Not really allowing them to get too situated. And it's been fairly, I'd say, even back and forth between the two as far as who's earned what on points. As the games continue to progress, though, one thing seems to be more and more clear. We need to avoid Slurpy Swamp, and Peterbot and Pollo now no longer have anyone here at the moment, and this is their drop to do what they will with.
Yeah, you can almost see him preparing the launch pad up above. Let me just get the loadout I need, maybe some extra materials, and you know Peterbot's going to be on the lurk, on the hunt, trying to find those early game eliminations. Clicks and Higgs, I say that loosely because Higgs has already went elsewhere. You see him trying to move back in, finding eliminations of his own. It was actually Arc that he did take down. Arc freshly off the reboot. Him and Kanata having a little speed bump in their game early on.
Yeah, nice find there, and Arc seems to be the one who's gone down time and time again now, at least from the last 2 games' performances. Take a look at the replay there. Look at that, just completely caught off guard there. And Higgs did manage to put a full kit together relatively quickly, so I do think it makes sense that he's caught all these players off by surprise and then follows up with Lawrence too. So before we even left the Slurpy Swamp, he was already working on his second elimination.
Hey, they started this game roughly 8 points down of 8th place, which is Josh and Iamzo. With those 2 eliminations, they're trying to close the gap. Luckily, Iamzo was able to get one. It was a trade because Higgs, again, once it did struck, taking down Iamzo before you can actually clean it up. But you're going to see how these strats are changing as the game goes on. More and more players are willing to take that risk, send their teammate elsewhere, try to find those eliminations. And once Zone 4, once Zone 5 hits, that's when they start playing closer together again.
This little play right here from Peterbot. He's just watching what's going down there, seeing if he had an opportunity to open up. Nothing big reveals itself, so off he goes, and that could have been a nice little hunting rifle shot, but let's see it. He also finds Lawrence, so it was that a pickaxe, little damage in there just to go ahead and add the salt to the wound.
All right, sticking towards their drop. They know they have a lot of extra barrels. You're seeing 7 shockwaves in the inventory of Clicks. I feel like he's the one that's trying to stay alive. We've seen Higgs already get aggressive early on, so he's just maybe trying to keep that in the back of his mind. I might need all of this rotation just in case Higgs does go down, but you've seen it's already working out. They have 4 eliminations early on as a team, 3 of them on Higgs due to that strategy. And you see him elsewhere, away from Clicks on the map, again, looking for these important eliminations if they want to close the gap.
Here it is, Peterbot just sticking to it. Catches Lowen the first time, comes back, picks him up again. That's Lawrence's 3rd elimination, unfortunately, this game. Just falling victim to getting recycled for points right now. Cold and Rapid over at the Steamy Stacks. Okay, so this is the first time they're going to have a lot of time to work with as the zone is favoring the northern side. The West there. Higgs and clicks though. Oh, big headshot there on the Yamzo. Add that to the reels.
Yeah, and I got to imagine that's got to be frustrating. Now Josh is just getting jumped on by Higgs. This could be a big way to kind of stop the tempo. Remember, they're neck and neck on that leaderboard. Does look like Yamzo did get back into the game, though. So for Josh, buying time is no longer needed. It's about surviving, trying to stay alive, so you don't both have to go on the hunt for loot. But Josh cannot take on the 1v2 against Clicks and Higgs. They do get the elimination, but at least he bought enough time to get a chance back in.
What a different game, though. 7 eliminations here. That is massive here. I mean, I was going to say 7 times 3 is 21 points worth already. Hold up, though. Forget the math. Peterbot, Boyo have more to deal with right now. They have Sharkman in sight. Boyo now has officially arrived here. Sharkman trying to squeeze out what help he could. He gets caught in the cone, has to get out. The edits come through. It's just not going to be enough. What can you do there? Peterbot secures the elim, puts them up at 4 elims now, and they're just playing with house money.
Yeah, 4 HP though. Peterbot barely surviving. And that's the blessing and the curse of the slurp water there down below is, yes, you can use it to regenerate HP and shield, but it's going to give away those audio visuals. There's no chance of him hiding in to survive. And the aggression that they have, again, you're seeing them go across Slurpy Swamp constantly, north, south, east, west. They're just keeping themselves in a progression mode of constantly getting eliminations. And I almost think you see that in the feed. If you're second place, third place, fourth place, or anybody else looking to catch up, and you see Peterbot, Poyo, you know you're going to have to start getting active.
It's demoralizing. I mean, I wouldn't want to put myself in that situation, but neither could I. I'd never make a finals lobby with that boy. But here you have it. Acorn, Bolts on the other side, making the rotate right now. And again, just trusty, you know, getting straight to it, waiting for that end game. Nothing to worry about.
I'm not sure of the entirety of the loot pool. I know there is the double trouble, but then you have the Mythic Havoc here. There are very few weapons in the loadout that can one-pump monster. Very few. And Bolts has the one-pump monster of the Mythic Havoc. So if he ends up in a fight, he can end it with just one shot. Bolts, I have my eyes locked on you this game, brother.
Yeah, hey, look, one thing's for certain is, you know, Bolts and Acorn are playing this like it is a literal grand finals lobby, and you know, you can't get rebooted. They are taking their time. They're putting themselves in key positioning. And they are showing up in every single end game. And you got to respect that because you have a whole bunch of other players really leaning into the fact that, hey, look, let's fight for elims. Let's just push these fights because we can.
Fourth zone here, 30 seconds. It will close. We'll move into the 5th. And this is almost like that danger signal of saying, hey, team, zone's about to be closing soon. Reboots are going to be turning off in the next couple of zones. You have to start being very, very cautious about how you rotate in and around this map. Because if you go down, yes, you do have a chance to reboot before the 7th zone closes them off. But getting not only back into the game, but getting a loadout that you can find success with, that is what's going to be hard. And after all the early game struggles, you see Josh and Yamzo trying to slow things down. They may have weapons in their arsenal, but you see empty item slots and a huge lack of resources.
Yeah, this is desperation at its finest right now. Just trying to really work with what they got at this point. I mean, got to count their lucky stars that Cold and Rapid have already moved down and found someone else to fight here. As Light is the one who's under pressure right now. Haven't seen much from this player just yet, but you probably see why. Just having a tough time right now, even fighting off the singular Cold. And he's got the advantage, little as you know. Like, Cold doesn't have much health to work with, and he just turned and burned. I mean, things might be a little bit better.
Yeah, and I saw Vlex go down in the feed, so for Light in the next couple of seconds, it's important that he did create that distance to stay alive because he was the only one with a chance to get them back into the game. As Cold looking around his POI, they're just trying to find some extra heals here. He does not want to have to use these slurp juices, and that's why he's immediately making his way on over towards that vending machine so that way he can buy the patch-ups, buy the med kits only if they're needed.
Yeah, that came in just in the nick of time. He was very, very low. If Josh would have been only slightly better, I'm not sure if he would have made it there, but nonetheless, that's not the reality that we're looking at right now. Still, though, they're all on the move, burning through these grapple hooks. They must have plenty of work within Cold. Just lasers in on Flex and shuts him down. It's almost as if he knew exactly where he was.
Yeah, and that's gonna be a full-on wipe too. They got lights, they got flex. So that team is out of the game here early in game 4. 18 teams still up though. And it's usually around zone 8, zone 9, we start to see those teams go down. And it's very, very important you do make it that far because they are going to be dropping. Next thing you know, it's from 18, you blink 15, you blink again 12. And that is where you're able to kind of pick up some of those placement points merely by staying alive. And that's why you see the launch pads really start to come into form. It was Acorn and Bolts first, and then it's Cold and Rapid. So I'm just interested to see who else starts to take that strategy in the second half of the tournament.
Yeah, it was definitely effective. We saw a lot of teams, especially around zone 8 or 9, super shy, timid about going for that high ground and really just exposing themselves for the most part. So plenty of opportunity to take advantage of the strategies at play, but let's lock in with Higgs and Clicks really quickly. What an early game, right? 7 elims, hasn't slowed down since. They have just managed to make their way into the middle of the next zone, and this is looking mighty comfortable for the duo right here.
See them safely farm, making sure nobody's hiding inside, lurking. Just going to quickly try to hit a one pump. I like their approach to this situation. Storm Surge is not a worry at all. Only worry for Clicks and Higgs that I do have if the zone bounces back. You see Steamy Stacks. You see the hill where Paper and Rezi are at. So making a change in rotation like that is not going to come without risk of its own. As we jump on board, Paper and Rezi, 117 points. Such an impressive day so far for them. We know how good Paper can be, but I want to give credit to Rezi here, putting a lot for somebody that hasn't really had a lot of these moments to shine. I got to give him credit for shining bright today.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's just holding his own, but Higgs seems to have found Boyo in the feed, and we get the instant replay here. Take a look at that. Just top-down angle right here, and then tries to shockwave in. Oh, I respect it for sure, but Peterbot manages to somewhat sneak his way out of that. And Boyo does touch down. I saw the health bar there, so he's back in the game. That's going to cost them a lot. Notice what's going to happen. They're going to have to split their heals, possibly weapons, and the materials. I doubt he's able to find anything at this point in the game.
Yeah, and if you know them, they almost feel like they might try to force a fight here, depending on where this next zone goes. See a replay, a lot of action happening in this game. Agers realizing, hey, he's within reach of that top 2 position. He is 3rd place on that leaderboard. Obviously, winning a game gets you that extra 10 points first over 2nd place, but an easier way to close the gap is find easy eliminations like that. And you're seeing the advantages of Steamy Stacks. I think I spoke about this in game number 1. If it pulled towards the north, you get free high ground.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what's your take on this? Because they just managed to build this huge base up here as well, so they have a lot of optionality.
And they don't even have to like take the steamy floaty down. They have the shockwaves. They can crash pad down. You can build and extend it outward on the other side of that. And I think that's what Rapid was kind of doing, scouting ahead on the other side of that stack. You're seeing already those ramps build. They have no plans of coming down anytime soon. And this is really interesting because in our previous 3 games so far, nobody wanted to take high ground in 7th, 8th zone. Now they get a free high ground way far away from shockwave distance as well.
I got to give credit, though, to Cold. He just keeps going for height. This time, granted it's given to him on a platter as Peterbot in the replay right there continues to find eliminations. That's actually a critical one. That's going to put Boyo possibly back in the game now. You have to assume he has a full loadout to work with right there. So I didn't think I'd say it, but what an impact frag right there as they find one here in this game. Back to Higgs and Clicks. 8 elims, as we saw. The last one was on to Boyo, putting them in that tough spot as they've crawled their way out of it, though.
Yeah, and look at the backside of the zone, though, and it's going to force Peterbot Boyo. It's going to force Yamzo, even Clicks and Higgs out of position, but they find through the stairs. Yamzo, with the help of Clicks and Higgs, an unlikely trio play being made here in the finals of the Reload Elite Series. Yamzo, unfortunately enough, can't even push in to get that blue.
I mean, they're just on a correction course here. Higgs is like, hey, dude, didn't I say you're out of this game, buddy? Knocks him once again. So unfortunate that he didn't even have time to react. That's like one of those weird spots you can't even put a wall, right? Because they have the staircase there. Unfortunate for him. Cold, though. Team have to come down. No one's really got height just yet. Yeah, I was going to say they're coming off that stack.
talk about what Acorn and Bolts were doing with the launch pad to get out of render distance. They already started in the clouds before the launch pad was even taken. Now they're higher up, but Peterbot is making things happen. Gets a knock and elimination onto Stiff, trying to get himself the material needed, especially if he's having a solo run. Rezi and Paper just trying to stay in front of the zone. Nobody at this point in time really confirming themselves as the team to beat on height.
Yeah, this is a tough one to hold height as well because you don't see a lot of other high structures. There's no mountains around, so shockwaves are going to be devastating to anyone that goes up early. I mean, it's going to be susceptible to an easy break here, but Ritual and Aegir say, screw that. We're just going to go ahead and commit to it anyways, and they find themselves looking to go ahead and base up and outwards. We'll see how long that will last them, and we'll see how safe it is making this play right here. Now look at this, going just recommitting to structuring up that base right there, so they have somewhat of a strong foundation. Shadow, Virgo, though, have to make a move. This is a team that was holding on to third place pretty strongly in the first 3 games, with that 4th one now at play here is up in the air, and they've just consistently made these end games. They're very, very good so far as a duo. This might just be their type of game mode.
Yeah, and if any time is going to be the time to close that gap, it is this game here. Peterbot and Poyo down outside of placement points. So the only points they got in this game is through their eliminations. Bolts and Acorn, that's going to be our 2nd place team. Aegir's Ritual in the picture-in-picture, 3rd place team. And you're seeing on the left all the chaos. Aegir's is just putting pressure upon pressure down below onto that 2nd height team, which is Bolts and Acorn. So this is 2nd and 3rd place looking to clash, but then in comes a new challenger. Front side of zone, Virgo and Shadow out of nowhere. Aegir's Ritual, they lose their high ground for a second, but they use that time to quickly gain it back. We're moving over towards the Steamy Stacks where they might be looking to connect.
Yeah, look, and that's the same call I made. You know, pro players recognizing, hey, that's not safe high ground. Like, it's easy to break, and that's exactly what happened. So it cost them so much more. And Ark and Kanata now say, wait, but this is a structure I can get behind, and they go up and over on top of the stack here. And just like that, they are looking to secure a victory royale. And hey, this is their chance to try to close that huge gap, right? There's a crater between them and everyone else.
Yeah, it looked like Sharkman and Yuz were going up for a moment. Ritual is going up for a moment. Fall damage isn't too much of a worry if you can get inside of the stack, so very less risk compared to most other situations. But Ark and Kanata, once again, land the damage. They send Rituals and Aegir's packing down below, but they realize we don't have the builds to hold it. Less than 10 for Ark. They drop down. They have no other choice, but in their line of sight, it's Acorn and Bolts out of nowhere. They're battling it out for the high ground, and right now, it's Acorn and Bolts who are on top again.
And they found the knock right there just as we transitioned out. 4 elimination now for Bolts. I mean, you highlighted that shotgun, and it makes you wonder why it's in Bolts' hands. It's because he's going to make the most out of this weapon here. But down to the low ground, Cold and Rapid should not be down and out on the low ground here. This is their drop spot, and somehow things have made a turn for the worse.
Yeah, it's either fall damage or storm. Cold still had shield on him, so nobody really gets that knock, or at least no credit for it, as Higgs picks up its 8th elimination of this game. This is what you have to do when your back is up against the wall. The solo series champion here, looking for a big game, and he's pressuring that team up above. That's I am enough. That's Teeks, but he is also has his head on a swivel, realizing there's players all around. I cannot get lost. I cannot tunnel vision at this point in time.
Acorn and Bolts had a 2nd place last game. They're fired up right now. They're coming back, looking to see if they can do something big here. Higgs on the low ground is still cooking with gas right here. He's doing an excellent job putting up the pressure, but hold up. As I say that, I think Bolts actually lost Acorn in the mix, and then he falls to the hands of Virgo in Shadow. We were just highlighting how consistent they have been, and now Higgs and Clicks have their work cut out for them. They are very low material, but look, what a monster game for them.
Yeah, this is how you move up that leaderboard. This is how you start to build that confidence. They're one of 2 duos left in this game. There's also 2 solos running around that could play disruptors, Rapid being one of them, but he has no builds. You've seen him trying to mantle up and dodge everything, but he rolls right into the palm of Clicks' hands. He gets back-to-back eliminations at that. Yuz falls as well. Clicks continues to scramble around, realizing I need time for the siphon to actually work. Higgs is going to buy him that time. He tries to grapple up, trying to land the shots. One knock's going to come through, but it's Clicks and Higgs who both fall out of nowhere. It's Virgo and Shadow that steal away the win.
Virgo and Shadow are the duo to look out for right now. They had an excellent performance coming out of the heats, and then just showing up right here in the final moments for a victory royale in game number 4. Zeke, I mean, you have to wrap your head around this. They've been around for so long. What else do they got for us?
This is what I was talking about earlier, right? MDF is finding those opportunities. This is an 8-game format, right? You just have to, even if you have bad games, just say, look, this is a brand new game. We are trying to qualify to EWC. We need to go. Last game for them, 11th place with 2 elims. Now they go out of game number 4 with a victory royale, placement points, elimination points. They are going crazy, and now they're at the halfway point. This is good. This is momentum. We've got some.
Oh man, I feel like this is very, very scary for the leaderboard right now. Right, we saw our top 2 teams that game kind of fumble, and now one of these trailing teams is going to pick up a huge win like that. And awesome to see Shadow back in the mix, and I feel like this name, we always kind of see it in FNC as final. Now we're seeing it over here in Reload as well. Great to see them get a win.
Yeah, it's a name that we constantly see, but never really give the credence that it deserves. And Shadow and Virgo have now finally showed to everyone, hey, there's a reason that we qualified. There's a reason that we're here, and we're going to make you work for that first and second spot. And honestly, Zeke, I'm really excited to see the leaderboard because things might have shaken up a little bit.
We will. I'm not gonna spoil anything. We'll get to it when we get to it. But yes, I definitely think with this performance, this is really good for Shadow and Virgo, right? Because ultimately, with 4 games left to go, we just need to string together a couple more eliminations like this, and we could be looking to fight for one of those 2 spots going on through to the EWC. Congratulations to them once again. But I will say, before we take a look at the leaderboard, we're going to go to a break. First, I know. We're going to go to a break. When we return, we'll have that leaderboard for you, so stay tuned. We'll see you right after this.
I'll be on no. I'm on Naruto's team. Naruto. I'm in full spec. Okay. I'm ready to cook everyone out. Ooh, mythic. Oh, wait, that mythic. What the? Ooh, he's low. I can't even see him. What? Bro just pops out of nowhere.
Welcome back, Fortnite fam, to the Reload Elite Series. Okay, we left you on a cliffhanger. Shadow and Virgo, they got themselves a victory royale in this last game, right? Where did they place? We'll have the standings in just a moment because, as Kelly implied before the break, yes, this does actually impact the standings quite a bit. We started that game, they were just inside the top 10, right? It wasn't too crazy. Maybe it was starting to feel like it was a little too far away, but take a look at that third place spot right now, right? Shadow Virgo jumping up because of that first place with 7 elims. I'm telling you, Fortnite fam, it just takes a single game like this
Damn.
and everything changes on its head. And the fact, friends, that Peterbot and Pollo fell early that game, right? They fell 16th, just outside of placement points. Guys, this competition ain't over. It ain't over, Vivid!
It's getting crazy over here on NA. Look, and the other team kind of jumping up a lot of spots on the leaderboard as well. Clicks and Higgs, man, they're jumping up 5 placements after that game. They're finding themselves on
Those are my loot.
167 points. What a great game for them. I mean, a second place with Hold Up Kelly. Let me go ahead and mention it here. 13 eliminations. What a game.
Oh, you know Peterbot and Pollo are looking right now with their 10 elimination games being like, oh, we could do that, we could do that. Higgs, from start to finish, did not slow down. This is the Higgs that we saw in the solo series finals. This is the Higgs that we were expecting. And Clicks showing up as well. What a shame in the
Damn, I
final
just got
moments they
bopped.
weren't able to get the final eliminations, but still, this is what we were expecting to see them here today. And honestly, it's better late than never.
And I mean, shout outs to Clicks there in those final few moments of that game when he's getting to like reconnect there with Higgs. To have that chaotic situation and to hold the shockwaves for that end game moment, man, masterful control. But taking a look at the early game, this was Higgs, right, as Kelly called out. Higgs coming alive in this early game, taking the fight to Yamzo. At one point, tune in, and I'm just like, yo, wait, what? How many elims are we have already? Like, what is happening?
Yeah, absolutely crazy and incredible stuff from that. I feel like that's kind of what we've seen across a couple of duos actually throughout the day.
How does it do
Across the
blitz
first
for
games
the
here.
bill?
Some way these guys start to steamroll some of these early eliminations in the more, right? Because of how reload works, once that spawn comes down out of the sky, usually it's easy pickings so they can continue to just go ahead and snowball some of these eliminations into more. Early games have been huge.
It has been so huge. And another thing from this duo is that they are a very momentum-based duo. I know a lot of us say that's a lot about duos, but honestly, as far as like mentality goes, this is the switch that they needed. I can only imagine just how much more calm and collected those comms are going to be going forward. And hopefully we just see more early aggression out of Higgs because clearly that worked out for them.
Let's take a look at that leaderboard again, right? The fact that Peterbot and Pollo fell early, this is very big for the rest
Oh,
of
yeah?
the lobby. And this is kind of what we want to be happening if we are the rest of the lobby, right? Them not being able to continue to like build upon this lead. Now it's only 3 points separating Acorn and Bold from Peterbot and Pollo, right? Like this, if this were to happen again, the game obviously gets closer. I would love to see more 10 elim BRs from Peterbot and Pollo for sure. But guys, you know, just tiny little mistakes led to this early fall. You know, I guess it's just kind of talking about the nature of reload, right? It's just 1 or 2 things. You know, you go from, hey, we get a victory out to like, oops, we fell a little earlier than anticipated.
Yeah, once again, you know, we see Peterbot in a solo situation here. We did see Pollo actually go down. He did get a reload in actually over there by the stacks. Kind of flew down and they just were able to recover after that. So Peterbot tried to go ahead and make something happen as a solo right there. But you know, I think the big point here that I want to make about Peterbot and Pollo falling early is that I feel like the biggest missed opportunity here was actually for Bolts because they were in second place. Then we saw them fall kind of early during that endgame as well, even when they were on the high ground.
Yeah, they had a decent height. They, 4 eliminations on high ground around zone 11. You had the Mythic Havoc shotgun
How
on
does that only
as well. They had so
hit?
much going for them, and then they just weren't really able to kind of convert that into this early aggression that we've seen from other players. Also, another kind of surprising game was Cold and Rapid there. They didn't necessarily have a terrible game, but with it going over into steamy stacks,
Let's go.
I was expecting just a little bit more of a control from the zone there. Everyone kind of rotating over to that northwest corner, allowing them to kind of stick on top of the stacks and control the rest of the lobby, but just wasn't able to really convert that into anything too much. But just looking at this leaderboard right now, looking at the point differences, honestly, from 5th up, I think any of these top 5 teams right here can easily break into that 1st and 2nd spot.
I feel like that's what makes reload so entertaining, right? Like, again, we are now at that halfway point, right? So having these tiny little moments, because even if I think back to that game, right, the fact that Peterbot Pollo fell early, it is because Peterbot decided to get a little too aggressive, right? He's against the stack, he's trying to edit it, like literally against something you can't edit to try and break through and find an elim, and then it ends up costing them, right? But
never
Knew
know
it.
when you're going up against Titans who just pick up wins constantly. But I mean, Acorn and Bolts are just playing so good right now, and the fact that we even saw them on the high ground once again, kind of poised for another win, poised for doing just so well in the end games, man. It kind of feels like the Peterborough and Pollo show, but when you look at the leaderboard, Acorn and Bolts, they're just not that far behind.
No, and Logjam, their POI Logjam has like it's just honestly won a great POI, and they play it so well, and they have great mobility over there. I believe that there's a static launch pad over there, so if they don't have too much mobility, they're still able to kind of rotate throughout the map easily, and we're seeing that kind of work out for them right now. Second place right now, can they hold on to it though? That's the question, Zeke.
I know, and that look, this is just me being nitpicky, okay?
Not
That's
just
all it is. That's all it is. I love everybody. I want everybody to
stop.
win, and all of us to take all to EWC together. Anyways, I know that time. You want more action. You want more games. Here it is. Game number 5 for you casters. Over to you.
This is where we're at, Monster, the second half of the day. And I talked about this being a marathon with 8 games, but now there's only 4 games left. This has turned into a foot race, and we'll keep it going because game 5 is here.
Game 5 is here, and it's time to face the music. Let's be honest, if you're looking at the standings and you see that there is a gap between
No,
you and that
we came in
qualification
second.
what Clicks and Higgs did last game, that's turn on the pressure on the rest of this lobby in final eliminations.
And already you've seen a little bit of a difference. It's been either King or Jargu that's been able to get that first elimination more times than not onto both Yamzo and Josh. And you're seeing a little bit of a different approach this time around. They're staying close together. They're making sure that they don't end up in a 2v1 or an individual fight that they don't,
No
I should
way
say,
that they
can't really
win.
afford to lose here in the second half of it all. Cold and Rapid, again, getting Steamy stacks to themselves. That means Mopping and his duo are constantly dipping in and out of Steamy stacks and that POI, or I should say, a sub POI that is right underneath. It may not be the best loot, but at least it's something to get their game going.
Yeah, you see Rapid taking a little bit of damage here, so obviously something went down, but nothing conclusive coming from the fight. Cold and Rapid, though, I mean, last game really should have been
I'm getting
they did well, but I was
beamed out to
hoping
the
to see a
sky.
victory from them. We'll see if they can pull one through before the day is up. There's 4 games ahead of us, obviously this one and 3 more, so we are in the tail end of things now. Kanata Ark falls again, the first to fall in this duo, so he clearly is one that Kanata's like, all right, you get out there, you try to earn a spot, but he's just having a hard time. Meanwhile, Higgs and Clicks are doing the same thing, but Higgs is finding success this time. They're going straight after Yamzo, and one thing's for certain, Yamzo is not someone you want to take lightly in a fight there, and look, he makes Higgs pay for it.
Yeah, Josh there. The Higgs moved over into their side of the map where they
Oh
move
man,
forward as
it's
a duo. They quickly clean it up as he looks to disengage. And little do they know, they're sneaking up, getting closer and closer on towards
the
the
only
base. But
reason
He's
he
still there. That's
killed
the
me
question
was
they're probably asking. And with Higgs dropping straight from above, they know exactly the location of where Clicks is at. Maybe not pinpoint down to go down and fight him, but they know he is around this side of the map, especially if Higgs keeps rebooting.
Yeah, and I think they're going to just check this warehouse here in a second, but no, Yamza actually goes to the one next door. Okay, they are still very much on edge and curious as to where he's at. Meanwhile,
I'm
Jargo
getting
and
beamed out
Kingdo
to the
finding
sky.
their continued successes here, now at 61 points, so things are picking up just a little bit for them here, but they will have to continue to do more as his shield just gets ripped off. A scare there and Ozen in the distance.
Just becoming more and more just an early game battlefield to where it's almost a must, it seems like, with how aggressive teams are. If you don't at least off the first drop send one of your players out to try to get an elimination, it's almost like you're not optimizing your game or optimizing your performance, because that's what we've seen a lot of these teams do that are in the top 5. They hunt down those early game eliminations. So once we get to zone 5, zone 6, or even 7 when it actually closes, they don't have to do anything else. They already got their loot. They already got their points. They
In
already
the
got their
woods.
position in the zone.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting, right? Because then if you take that same kind of description and you apply it to Acorn or Bolts, they're completely fine with
Boy.
not getting eliminations or anything like that in the early game. Instead, they opt to play for hyper placement playstyles, and it's going well for them. You know, one thing that was really interesting about game number 4 was that Peterborough and Foyo fell early. They actually gave the lobby a chance to close the gap. And I mean, Acorn and team did continue to take advantage of it. So I want to see if Peterborough and Pollo get a little too confident, because they strong lead, that might be the downfall.
Yeah, just getting a little bit too confident. But now he has the exotic AR, and that thing shreds not only through builds, but you're seeing the immense amount of damage. He was able to land on the one. Shockwave trying to keep Ages alive, but so was Ritual just trying to shoot over the top. Pushing Poyo back, getting the shields broken, even tagging up some of that HP. That's going to force them to do exactly this, almost rethink that situation. But luckily for Peterbot and Poyo, there's all these slurp barrels nearby. They can easily get the shield and HP back up in no time.
I'm not gonna lie, Ritual literally saved the day right there. That
He did.
damage he managed to put down is the momentum changer, giving him and his duo a little time to breathe and actually fend off Peterbot and Poyo here.
No fall damage? What?
To the other side, our game four winners, Virgo and Shadow. What is their early game strategy? It seems to be
Nice.
they take their drop and then bounce back into the Dirty Docks here right now.
Probably just having a clean early game where they don't make any big risks, get their gold, their loot, and kind of stay around Dirty Docks. This is one of 3 teams that is marked as drop spot. Stiff and Eulogy, and then King and Jargo rotating over from Boom and Base. Usually it's Paper and Resi, but they know how dangerous this can be, so they immediately rotate over along with the zone. See, it is pulling towards the western side of the map this time around, so everybody's just having to be quick and to the hurry. But this is interesting this time around. This is kind of makes me frightened for the rest of the lobby. Cold has the double pump, the regular revolver, the sentinel pump. This is almost like shades of a few months ago.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and in the hands of Cole, this is a deadly combination here. So I like to see the dynamic style at play here, but at the end of the day, you have to hit your shots. One thing about Rio
Wow.
is that if you are not finding, your consistency in the game, I mean, you have so many opportunities to get back into the groove of things. Peterbot Poyo, though, have found Flex and Light here and continue to push them off the drop right now. And I was going to say, it's only a matter of time, Lauren, as
What are these?
they cut him off. And it's crazy because you watch things from Peterbot's perspective, but Poyo is always close by playing another angle. It's just really hard to get away from this duo once they set their eyes.
Oh, you got 9 people on me.
Throughout history, when Peterbot was even selecting his teams going away from Poyo, a little bit of a learning curve to play with Cold and Ritual, but he was the same most dominant self because he played with all that confidence. And now he has that familiarity back with Poyo. And even during the offseason, he was even saying, yo, if I'm not playing with Poyo, I'm not playing at all. You fast forward till now, they're both on Falcons, and they're looking to return to that dominant form. Remember, they are the last global champions when it comes to a duo competition.
Yeah, I just think, like, Poyo's game sense, right, when it comes to, fighting is just elite, right? He's just so far ahead. He's a cut above the rest, and you couple that alongside Peterbot, and they are just a perfect combination. The yin and yang of one another here. Jumping into kind of what's at play here, though. Shadow, Virgo, they have someone lurking nearby just after picking up that Elim. Seems like they're content with playing as Dirty Docks, though. They just want to wait until things kind of settle in and mature a little bit more.
Okay.
They don't want to stick around for too long, though. Their decisions is...
Didn't even do a single damage. Oh my gosh, I have no team. Wait.
Puts in the back of your mind, do we use our mobility now? And it's probably not a good answer to use it now. You kind of want to save it for later on in the game. We're already at the 5th zone, so anybody dropping here is going to have one hard time getting back into peak form to have a chance to win the game. And that's where you're seeing them prioritize rotating as much as they can on foot. If it does,
Oh my god, I have no teammates. What is this?
Lucid,
Can't do nothing. I have no
team
teammates.
that's been playing with one another for a long time through trio, through duo.
Oh my.
This is nice to see them kind of making their return right now. 116 points. Talk about relatively impressive performance so far. Coming into this game, maintaining their 8th place. Last game being their 2nd best performance that they've had so far here on the day. So signs of very promising play coming out of that duo. For Cold and Rapid, here it is. They're getting their hands dirty once again, and that's their 4th elimination now. Just really flexing the steamy stacks. They have this drop on lock right now.
Yeah, and the only thing, honestly, if you kind of look at their stats when it comes to damage, they're up there. They're in the top. When it comes to eliminations, they're close by as well. It's getting inside the money points. And what I mean by that is it's that top three. You get the 10 extra for winning. You get extra points for second and extra points for third versus the +4, +4, +4 with each placement. They have a fourth, a fifth, a seventh, and a 12th. They're just failing to get inside
No.
of the actual big
No.
money points. And if
No.
they can do that in the
Oh
last
my
4 games,
gosh.
they
Nope.
could put
Nope. He's
themselves
not
in
getting that
contention
aimbot
to
gun. He
qualify.
already has aimbot, so
Yeah, that's
he has
just like
aimbot.
Rapids making the decisions. So it's either just a lack of confidence because it seems like when they make
Right.
the calls for height, I mean they put it all on the table and that backfired, and they sort
What
of
is
tried
it?
that 3 times so far. So
Oh,
I am curious to
oh
see how that's going to continue to kind of develop.
my
Right, and then they
gosh. Why
I
is there
think
no
they'll be
teams
in
to
excellent shape.
join?
Clearly, when it comes to
I
fighting, I
joined
mean
team
we
2.
don't got to talk
My
about that,
teammates
right? They got
nowhere to
everything
be
on our
found.
analyze. They're doing exceptional in the fights. I think
I
the in-game
joined
decision making that
team
needs to be worked on.
3. Nobody on though.
Taking that quick peek
Can't
at
join
Clix
team
and
4.
Higgs'
Can't join team 5.
eliminations, it
Can't
feels
join
like almost a
team 1.
drastically different game than the one they just had, where I think they had 11 or so elimination. Higgs was just putting on a clinic, a show for everybody to watch at home.
I'm
So
gonna
it's
just
interesting
stop.
to see going from that and having one of your best
Maybe I can
performances of
still
the
get me
day
both
to
though.
where you pull zone on this
I'll
side
go
of the
to
map and
team
you're almost
3.
forced to have things slowed down because you're already where you need to be.
Thank
So hopefully
you.
that confidence continues to stay at an all-time high for this game. I know for Bolts and Acorn, confidence has to be at an all-time high today. They're the only team with a top 10 performance in every single game, a first, a second, a sixth, and an eighth, and they've gotten eliminations in every single one of those games as well.
Yeah, Acorn knows better than anyone. Stick to the plan, and the results will come. And you know what's really interesting about Acorn? He's typically like a late game tournament performer, right? We call
Just the
him a
one
day
season,
adjuster,
thanks.
but when you have Acorn starting off on such a strong foot, that is a sign that he is in top shape today, whether it's mentally or otherwise. I mean, he's got to be feeling good after that new signing, so I think everything's just kind of lining up for them, and they still have a chance to come first in this tournament here. Pollo, as aggressive as ever, though, opting to go for that early high ground. We talked about this continuing surge of confidence, and this is a sign, Jacob, that they are taking more and more risk.
Left of
It's
6 minutes, please.
all
Or
across the map.
Peterbot
That
with all.
exotic AR is so annoying to deal with, and Peterbot has it on lock. Into the distance,
Alex
lighting
is
off
on
the fresh reboot. Literally
yep.
seconds before it turns off, he's knocked. It doesn't look like Flex was trying to get the revive, but in comes Clix and Higgs. They crash again. They not only clean up that elimination, but they stop them from reuniting as a team.
Yeah, they get it just in time right there, and look,
I get a
just a
team.
flurry of loot right here. They have
I want to be on a
their
team.
share of the pick right now.
Gosh.
Shockwaves are all going to go to Higgs right here.
Okay. On a team.
King and Jargu making the on-foot rotate. Peterbot, Shockwaves off a high ground, looking his way to make his cut straight across the field here. And I'm willing to bet. They're going straight for high ground again. They're just sizing it up at the moment.
Yeah, they know they got a couple more mountains to climb, and their approach here is instead of taking that risk where you shockwave and run the rest of the way there, they're just pausing. They're waiting for other teams to make their rotation in, so they're simultaneously doing it, so it lessens the chance of them getting tagged on the run. Cold and Rapid actually pop over the top and get that down on the King. So now Jargu is also left as a solo. There is more distance to cover for Cold and Rapid, but they are well on their way there.
Oh, that's a painful elim right there. Falling at plenty of material. Cold now completely capped off, and we'll see what they end up doing with that. That's going to, again, give them that second thought. Do we go for high ground? Their 5-5-5 coming into zone 7 is insane. Meanwhile, Acorn and Bolt, though, steady and true. They haven't even moved an inch. They just have that high ground, kind of looking over that natural elevation, but this pool's completely opposite here. It's going north now, so all of our competitors having to deal with a lot of movement right here.
And it kind of goes slightly down the mountain, kind of up a little bit, different hill here. So for that team that's on the front,
I was about to say, how do you not take all damage? You'll die.
Changes here in this next rotation. As Peterbot's peeking to the cone, gathering that information, getting ready for his own rotation. They want to go ahead and get to the front side of the zone. They know there's more distance to cover as it continues to open up, but they don't want to have to play catch up.
See how it's going to go. Shockwaves coming out. Paper, Resi find themselves just at the edge of the zone here.
Let's go.
Take a little bit.
No way I'm in Boston. I have no teammates.
Navigate these better than most. Yobs O'Reilly finally make their
Please can I get a teammate though?
on the outside, and they're going to take those respect the plays here. But here we have it. The real end game is upon us now. 17 duels remaining. Do keep in mind, placement points are earned at 15.
Really starts
Oh my gosh! He's getting me a teammate. It's me versus 6 people. No, 4. Four.
A little bit too early to gain height, and that's exactly why Peterbot and Poyo are simply moving in front of the zone. They're constantly
Great.
looking up, assessing the situation, even building up when they have to, because they know how destructive it can get down below. Higgs and Clicks going through a similar thing, trying to get in front. They're sacrificing ticks of the storm, using the memories to gain advantage, all for the sake of positioning inside.
Peterbot does this so well, singling out a duo on a different layer, kind of hunts them down, forces them off, and now all of a sudden, I mean, they just have complete control of the mid ground. Cold and Rapid on the other side, playing this low ground, and it's kind of gone off this mountain here, so things are definitely changing here. Bolts on the other side, still no Elans for Acorn and Bolts. They're just hanging in, staying true to the front side of the zone, trying to avoid pressure, but Cole finds Olsid there. That's their 6th elimination now, and they are flying up the leaderboards here. Still, though, placement points yet to be earned, and finally, Bolts opens it up, cracks open the lid there, and he finds his first one and a 7 Elans.
Yeah, better late than never. A much-needed one as well. The materials they got is going to keep them looking good. Peterbot and Poyo from the backside of the zone all the way to the front. No chance to threaten hide, or at least not just yet. That means regular mopping.
Oh, it's a
free reign to just shoot down below, pressuring everybody else. Eliminations or not, they're smoothly walking through the finish line. Peterbot is down, just like you said. There goes the speed bump. There goes a chance for Poyo to show exactly what he's made of.
I mean, we talked about this, the fact that they kind of fell early last game, opened up the standings for other teams to close that gap, and now with no Peterbot, I mean, we've seen Poyo clutch up before, but this is a tall ask here in this type of format here where there's, again, destructive itemization in play here, but
Wait, did everyone leave?
meanwhile, top 7 Elans for Aegis and Rich.
I guess I'm the only one. All these tests come on now.
Even up the mid ground, the high ground, but no, Ritual
Oh,
falls
look
there,
at that.
and it's to the hands of Poyo, a crash course between the two, and they just collide on screen. What a capture for us to watch there, and it's Poyo who's just making work here inside the top 10.
Yeah, this is where if you're anybody else, you
The only way I would know.
placement points are just raining in. Finally, it happens for everybody else in the lobby. That's a breath of fresh air.
Go to the middle.
The point gain has stopped for both. This is
And
important.
if I don't
This is
die,
continue to close the
then
gap.
yeah,
Another
I'm going
elimination.
to.
Siphon with the shockwave. He doesn't want to over jump too far in his zone. He does it perfectly. Not only gains the elevation, but gets to the front side. But this is where Perfect starts to run out. 5 builds left. Immediately uses 2. Bolt is going to have to think outside of the box of where he's going to get the materials needed.
Cold and Rapid still in the game as well. Look at this. 9 Elans. The decision to stay on the low ground. Definitely the better one as we're approaching top 5. And Cold gets in the mix. And you said it. You said he basically has a double pump in hand. And no, Bolt didn't see him. Just behind the wall. Knock, knock. And he is there to go ahead and kick that door wide open.
Shadow and still alive. He's the solo. That's short-lived. Cold takes him down as well. It's Cold's 8th elimination of this game. 12 as a team. They set their eyes on the sky. They're shockwaving up. Rapid is there as well to back him up. Mopping does take some damage, but everybody finds themselves back down below. Rapid and Cold try to reset the situation, but it's become exponentially harder. No builds to protect. Shockwave towards the side. Rapid is still by himself trying to live here as Regular and Moppings are starting a heal off in zone. The Siphon, the HP, they have everything needed to take the game away from Rapid and Cold.
I was looking at that and I was like, this can go either way, but what an exceptional shockwave play right there to really seal the victory royale. Just genius play, and they absolutely deserve it. Game 5 is now concluded. Regular and Mopping come up out of nowhere there, Zeke.
Guys, okay. This is how I know Fortnite is one of the craziest games to ever exist ever, and that anything ever can happen, okay? I want you, Vivid, I want you to guess where you think Regular and Mopping were placement-wise. You think they were in the top 10?
No, I know they weren't in the top 10.
Because they were last place, and yet they came out and got a victory royale in a lobby like this against the caliber of players we're seeing like this. They just ran the high ground. They just ran the high ground
only in last place coming into this
Not
game,
anymore!
also went ahead and kind of looked at their stats prior to this event. You know what I mean? Yeah, how much experience these guys have. Have we ever seen them in FNCS finals before? Nope. I've never seen them in any finals before. And for this team, kind of not only come out of
Who
nowhere
won?
in terms of experience coming into this tournament, but then inside of the tournament itself to be last place and then go ahead and control the higher ground, which is kind of arguably, Kelly, like the hardest thing to do in reload. There is just so many factors that come into play to actually controlling that high ground. We've seen some top tier teams today fail at holding this, and then this team is able to go ahead and pull that off. Incredible stuff.
Yeah, I was so confused for a second, trying to see who was on high ground. I'm like, is that a plane? Is that Superman? No, it's a bird. And to see this team do so well on the high ground, and to have teams try and go and fight for that high ground, and them kind of denying them, that to me is really what was impressive. Is that it wasn't like they were just holding high ground because everyone was kind of on the low ground paying attention to each other. They were able to control that for a few zones, and honestly, hopefully we get to see more out of them in these following games.
That's how I know. That's why I love Fortnite, dude. Anything can happen. Anything will happen. And of course, we'll have where they might be on those leaderboards after this short break. Don't you go anywhere. We'll be back with more action on Fortnite. Let's go.
But where was this dude the whole time? Where was you, bro? Where was you? Y'all ignored me? How did I even get mad in the first place? Mine doesn't do some test stuff. Ooh, that's kind of buns. What was just giving away his price?
What's going on, everybody?
Oh,
Welcome back to the Reload Elite Series. So, shocking developments here. Team in last place got themselves the Victory Royale in the last game. Now, the question is, where do Mopping and VRD go from where they were in 20th place. Well, all the way up to 13th. Take a look there. 7 placements up. I'm telling you guys, this is again why I love Fortnite. Anything can happen. A single game can just change everything for anyone. Suddenly, teams who don't have the spotlight on them can demand the spotlight. What an incredible time. But that's what we talked about before. All right, I just wanted to put a nice little bow on that. Now let's go up the leaderboard. Let's take a look at how things are shaking up at the top. Okay, let's take it all in here, guys, because what started as like a crazy lead for Peterbot and Pollo is not the case anymore, Vivid, right? Like, this is very, very close right now.
Oh, I mean, I cannot believe it's a 14-point difference. Like I mentioned before, it seemingly that this whole thing was just going to be the Peterbot and Pollo show, but the last 2 games out of them have been a little slow. I mean, we know what happened in the last game. Pollo went down kind of early on, and then just simply on a rotate right there out of Peterbot, getting kind of clipped over there. Pollo kind of left as a solo to go ahead and try to...
Wow, I wasn't even ready. I wasn't even ready. Hey, that don't count. I wasn't ready.
Door wide open for the rest of the competition to go up here and contest them on the leaderboard.
I'll let him.
You know how you'll watch Peterbot and Pollo compete, and then they'll start to jump on stream because they're already confident that they already qualified and that they don't actually care about the
Said she was a fairy.
I'm not saying that's what's happening right now,
I will
but I do
introduce
wonder if
you
there's a level of overconfidence coming out of
gravity.
Pollo because of how dominant they were after the first 3 games.
Gravity.
We might see them trying things out, and I can expect that the next 2 games are going to go back to what we kind of saw at the start of the day.
Yeah, I feel like that's true, right? Because like historically, you know, Peterbot starts strong and he kind of just like, all right, I'm having a time. Okay, you guys are starting to catch
Skibbity wibbly wobbly wobbly
once
whoa.
again.
Wobbly wobbly.
Here we go, 20 Elim VR, ha ha ha. You know, classic Peterbot. We'll see. Plenty of games though, 3 left to go before
No.
we close up the Reload Elite Series here. Of course, looking back at that standings though, Acorn and Bold 2nd place again.
Take a look
right
at my
behind Peterbot and Pollo,
pretty
okay?
shirt.
It's the difference of a single game, right? Like, both Acorn and Bolts can very easily close this gap, right? Especially with the fact that Peterbot and Pollo, you know, they've had some unfortunate situations, but you can tell Acorn and Bolts, they're thinking the same thing. Look, we can win. We can walk away in first place. $20,000 for coming in first place. It's doable right here, right now, Vivid.
Yeah, this is actually on the back of a Bolts solo clutch as well. Able to pick up 4th place. 3 total eliminations for him right there. So, good job by him to go ahead and continue to close that gap between him and first place. As we're starting to get later into this competition, remember, top 2, 1st and 2nd place is what everybody is kind of looking for.
I tried building. I just got it.
EWC later on this year. Some other teams that are kind of looking to get very, very close to that top 2. It's of course going to be 3rd place, Shadow and Virgo, only trailing right now, Kelly, by 8 points.
Oof, 8 points, and that's going to be the difference between if you go to EWC or not. I could not be them right now. The amount of pressure that this team must be feeling, Virgo and Shadow, one of the dark horse teams that honestly does not deserve that title because Shadow has been an incredible player for so long now, and maybe they finally found their spot in Reload to really shine, to really showcase their abilities. We already got a victory royale out of them, but can they get 2? I mean, with how they've been kind of running the low ground right now, I think that is a possibility, Zeke.
What's crazier too, Shadow Virgo, 249 points. Cold Rapid, 239s. We got Cold on our heels right now. The competition, no one is safe. Really quickly, we wanted to highlight some stats from the kind of first half of the competition. Vivid has pulled some stats for us. Walk us through this because this is a little bit insane.
I mean, every single time that Peterbot is in a competition and we showcase the eliminations and the damage dealt, he's always at the top of the leaderboard, right? So going to be going ahead and lead
I'm actually dumb.
categories. I feel like somebody else, Kelly, that we always see lead a specific stat as well, is going to be Cole. I feel like every single time, he's just the best at getting such a good damage ratio.
No one wants to touch Cold. Cold can dodge bullets like he's in the Matrix or something. I don't know how he does it, but someone that needs to be dodging maybe a little bit more is Iamzo with 13 respawns. That's a little rough right there.
I'll let him.
Taking that fight right to Iamzo, but listen, this is Iamzo. Everything's
survive,
fine.
man.
Everything's chill. 3 games left to go very quickly for this last few games. What are you guys hoping to see? Are we looking to change things up or stay the course? What do you think?
Oh no, we gotta stay the course, right? I mean, our top 4 is just so close right now. If this keeps going, our last game is gonna be absolutely crazy.
Where's that goldfish? I know that there's a goldfish in there. I want to see it, Zeke.
I didn't call that out, Fortnite fam. She did. That's on her. Light her up, not me. All right, guys. With that being said, game number 6 is ready to go. So
Number 6, 7.
Yeah, I gotta say.
Oh,
At first I was thinking, is this gonna be a runaway train? Are we gonna have a boring NA?
Actually, I that good of a loadout.
Standings, Jacob. We got a
I did
20.
not know.
Yeah, even I thought a runaway train, a 2-horse race. Nope, at this point in time, we got 4 teams looking to take
What is he?
those top 2 spots and really get rid of the pressure for the rest of the Reload Elite Series qualifiers. You get a little bit of freedom. You can condition your drop spot.
Right.
So for these next 3 games, no mistakes can be made because you can probably wave your chances goodbye if that happens.
Yeah, and hey, look, you know, Kelly said something exceptional. We're gonna break it down here in just a moment.
You know what?
On that battle bus.
I'm actually trying now. I'm actually trying.
You know,
You know,
Monster,
fooling around. I'm
when
fine.
Kelly says that, I was about to say, when she says something, I want to listen. So what did she say?
I mean, when we break down Shadow, right? You know, I was trying to think. I've known this team for
Great.
so long, and then I thought to myself, what was the problem they were having in all those other games? It's their draw spot. They haven't had a chance to really get that tier 1, you know, opportunity at loot, right? But you put yourself in reload, and it's like early game is not a problem no more if you can get past that. So I think we are seeing this game mode really open up and possibly highlight the fact that, hey, there are going to be players that are going to excel in a reload setting that otherwise have a bit of a harder time in the traditional battle royale kind of situation. So if that all starts to come together, I mean, this is really going to take form and be a super interesting series.
Wow.
I can agree with that. Sometimes just making it to that mid portions of the game in regular BR can turn into a nightmare. Traveling through the open, especially if you get.
Well, how does he shoot so fast though?
With so much
How does he?
mobility, a smaller, more condensed map.
Who
Yes,
thinks I
it does
should
come
go
with its own
for
risk versus reward scenario,
everyone?
but it does cut out a lot
Bet.
of different risk in its own mind due to that mobility. You're seeing in the feed, King is going to go ahead and try to take down Josh. Higgs takes the usual fight against Ark early on. They did such a good job of closing the gap. If they can keep up this pressure, maybe get this elimination on the Ark, start to build up a plan, it will look good. But nice shot by
Wow.
Ark to shut down Higgs, and then he gets that slurp juice from it.
I gotta say, finally, Ark bites back, man. We know what this kid is capable of.
Babe.
So just head-to-head clashes, but the last couple games he has had a little bit of a harder time in the first engagement. This time, no more though. So Higgs is really eating his words here as he comes through. And now it's up to Ark and Kanata to see what they can do. If they can actually turn this around and get the momentum against Higgs and Clix' duo.
Yep. See, I asked the question earlier. I believe it's his first big fun. Yep, there it is. I know, and it's interesting.
This kid has a lock on AO.
For playing the regular BR,
That
one of the
is-
best fighters in the game, and then you kind of get tossed in a reload where, yes, they might have practice for it, but after the years of playing Fortnite, the differences coming into play, they're not necessarily having the tournament.
I gotta go
with
with 2
3
people in
games
a
left.
bet.
There's money.
I'm down for that.
Even if they don't find themselves in first, you can move up $2,000 here, there, and even $4,000 in some places on the leaderboard.
My gosh, this game sucks.
Everyone remembers who took first place, second and third are shortly forgotten afterwards. But hold up, as I'm looking off to the left-hand side here, regular and mopping. Have they just found their second wind right now? Coming off the win, now all of a sudden finding some fast eliminations here in their early game. They just don't seem to be taken lightly anymore.
I mean, sometimes that's all it takes is that one little momentum shift to start to boost the confidence. And this has been a team that Cold and Rapid have been crashing on almost every single game. Lights and Flex as well. But this is a team that was taking some of the loot away from Steamy Stacks. Cold tries to push it again. He gets sent back to the reboot. Luckily for him, Rapid is still alive, and they do have that POI to themselves. So if you haven't watched it, you might not have guessed later on the game that Rapid did go down as Ritual and Agers are going to take down I Am Enough. And this is where it starts to get interesting. You're seeing a lot of early game eliminations coming out of our contenders.
Peterbot, no shield right now in a box fight here. What all went wrong? We'll see what's happening though. Seems like he doesn't care about Oliveira or Jason's HP pull. They can have the advantage. He's still going to fight. Not even looking to pause here. Spoil's got the other side, so of course he's looking to support him. Boya should be the finisher. That's one big tag. Doesn't quite get it. We're just moments away likely from a quick elim here. And there it is.
Yeah, I was trying to see what loot dropped from him. Yeah, as I suspected, no HP to regain. So whether it was Poyo and Peterbot or the zone itself, because of that damage, he was definitely on a clock. A short one at that. Teeks, I am enough. They're back up over towards Slurpee. They're just trying to get the scraps that Peterbot and Poyo may or may not have left behind. I saw Rapid taking out Bleaks in the feed, and now Cold is going for the second elimination on the Lights. He just needs to stay alive long enough, and you see in the mini-map, he did just that. He did get Bleaks back into the game.
Yeah, just inching out that little bit of time that he needed there. And no, Cole, I love what he did. He marked him. He's like, do I really want to take him on right now? Maybe not. I'm kind of out of position here. There could be another team looking at that player come down as well. And then he backs off. So well played on him to just have constraint, right? As a veteran player, you know, a lot of people see players like Cold or these other players that are dominantly known for being fraggers, and they think, oh, they can't make decisions. We talk about that. We're watching two of the best fraggers and decision makers in the game here. Back at it, pushing through.
Oh my gosh, that shockwave turnaround shot from Poyo on the chase, but he gets flanked himself. Poyo does go down. He tunnel vision just a little bit too hard. On time enough. He gets flanked. Peterbot now stuck in a reverse position here, having to stay alive. And since nobody's really putting pressure on, you know he's going to get Poyo back into the game, back to their drop spot. So it's going to be no strange thing to find them with a good loadout again.
Let's not forget, this game 6 here, there's 3 games in front of us. This one on hand and 2 more coming. And we really are in a close competition right now. Peterbot and Poyo kind of easing up the pedal here have allowed teams like Shadow and Virgo that have been consistent to remain up at the top. You know, I was looking at like the overall performances from Acorn and Bolts. That clutch, that 4th place, if you just look at it from a bird's eye view, I mean, they look like they were playing almost perfect Fortnite, but these games don't come without their troubles. So you can even see Shadow and Virgo not taking any risk here. They're content with being up at the top and in the running for a potential win here.
Yeah, they realize, hey, just no mistakes. It doesn't need to make any big plays. They did that just to get to that point. Now it's just minimizing mistakes throughout the game as Peterbot continues to go on that rampage. They have a 23-point lead over 4th place, Monster. 2nd place is a little bit less than that, but it just goes to show, like, hey, maybe their aggression, maybe them going down a little bit early has hurt their momentum so far in this game, and it's happening again. Only 1 elimination split between them. Ritual Agers, they were the ones that got it, and now they find another one onto Aloe. They, too, at one point were sitting in 3rd place on the leaderboard. It let it slip through their fingers. To start this game, they were in 6th place with 153 points.
That could have went any way. If Ritual and Angels jumped on Peterbot there instead of Aloe Vera down on that low ground, we could have possibly seen this whole entire dynamic shift, but Poyo comes in and gets caught again instantly. Doesn't even get to touch grass there. It is all over. Jumping back to Chris and Drew. Game 1, they showed up. They showed out. They had us all thinking, who are these guys? They are still in the conversation here. I mean, if you look at how Mob and Regular were able to pull themselves from 0 to 13th at 80-point game, it shows you that any one of these players in the 160 range can truly jump up.
I can wholeheartedly agree with that. It shows to show, I think, over the years that anything is possible. As Acorn and Bolts, again, under the radar. And one of the biggest differences that I've seen so far is we've watched Poyo, we watched Peterbot, we watched Higgs, Arc, Kanata, Cold, Rapid hunt down their eliminations early when they are uncontested. Acorn and Bolts are uncontested as well, but they're playing together the entirety of the game. They say, hey, if we're going to win or lose this game, it's not no desperation looking for eliminations. It's because we deserve to win this tournament.
Such different play dynamic here. On screen, Agers and Ritual, though, back at it here, making a rotate. They're going deep into the storm right now, just likely content with all that they have behind, and they're going to play for the outskirts. Just give them a little second there.
Kind of taking their time. I want to say I'm a little worried, but again, with all the mobility in the game, still early. It's a 1-tick zone, 5th zone on top of that, to where usually teams are looking to play a little bit careful. 2 zones before reboots turn off, but Ager's Ritual, they find themselves in a scuffle so deep in his zone against Jace. This is a team they've been fighting most of the day, landing near each other, but this almost looked like a desperation play coming out of Jace. He's on the clock, probably has no heals, trying to push in. The zone is just chunking him out. It almost feels like Aegis knows what's exactly about to happen. Let zone do the rest of the work. He gets knocked. A huge giveaway, but luckily for Jace, he bought time. His teammates back into the game. It may be a bleak opportunity, but at least it's one.
Yeah, Aegis, all he had to do was just get a little bit of damage on him for the credit there. And look, you give it a second, and Peterbot and Boya turned back to get back in the storm here to try to find the fight. And look, you know what's kind of crazy about this is, talk about teams being content in playing a bit more passively, right, in late into the game. And then there's Peterbot and Boya. They haven't stopped pushing for it, but what do they have to show for all that activity, Jacob? Nothing. They only have a single Elim right now.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate the way some of these fights have shaken down. Some of them getting stolen away, but this game, Poyo was probably taking a little bit too many fights, kind of getting put in a blender. That kind of slows down the Peterbot train that we know he can be. Forced to stay alive, get the reboot. Luckily for him, he does have himself and Poyo fully in the game with not too far of a distance to go before they're in zone. Just the western side of Dirty Docks, hole opening into the middle, that's going to open up in about 50 seconds. So there's a lot of space for those players that are on the western side of the map that have yet to touch the zone.
Yeah, a lot of control there for Acorn and Bolts. Peterbot, Boyo, playing off that super pad here, getting right into the zone right now. Land, they see some fresh terrain here to play off of. Peterbot burns through so much of his brick. My gosh. I don't think he expected things to go that way, and lucky for him, there was a couple kegs here still left over down in the low ground. Huge risk involved going straight like that. Not gonna lie for what it's worth this late in the game, but I guess the gamble pays off for them.
A small chance to kind of refarm there as well. But where this next zone is going to really hurt how much farm they can actually get, and anybody else that's trying to do that same thing on the eastern side of the map. And it goes far west this time around, so that is going to be a max pull for a good chunk of the lobby. Nobody really having the front side. I think Golden Rapids see it. They were assessing the situation almost the entirety of this time, and as soon as zone opens, they're one of 2 teams to immediately start to rotate.
Yeah, very nicely done. Quick decision-making there, no hesitation. Clicks and Higgs on the other side, just a single Elim. Makes you wonder what all happened in that other game where they just really peeled the Band-Aid off and kind of went for it.
You know, we talk about a 23-point gap to start this game between first and fourth. From there, it was about a 95-point fall off, and that team was Clicks and Higgs. So with 3 games left, if you could somehow figure out a way to repeat that performance Monster was talking about, where Higgs had at least 8, 9 eliminations by himself, Clicks having a few, getting into the double digits. And if they could start to get into that money placement as well, we could see a 4th team, or a 5th team, I should say, enter into the mix in terms of contenders. As Curve and Craze make their way on over, Flowberry Fizz mix in the Shockwave. That means they can one-hop their way to safety.
Old Acorn finally starting to get active here. This does seem to be around the time they like to just turn on the lights. You know, they just come out of the woodworks. They're like, all right, we're in zone 7, we're in zone 8. It seems like this is where they get the most comfortable so far. Acorn and Bolts are the one of 2 teams that haven't respawned a single time. I'm telling you, they're playing this like it's a completely different game mode, and somehow it's still working out for them.
And my jaw dropped. I'm like, what? Like, how is that possible? Who's the other team? And obviously, they're not winning all the games. They do go down after reboots turn off, but it just goes to show how pristine their game plan actually is coming into this point. There's no unnecessary risk, and you got to give Bolts and Acorn all the credit in the world. Both of them are one of the few FNCS champions that we actually do have on this lobby. Bolts won a solo DreamHack LAN as well, so he is somebody that has continued to rise up the ranks. Both of them together, I think, make the perfect team. Peterbot and Poyo, 1 elimination, a little bit slower, but I think once you start to realize you're in the second half of the day and the score isn't as big as you would hope, sometimes you got to flip that switch and change things up.
Oh, for sure, and it's working out right now. They Shockwave on in, but here, the name of the game is get positioning, get to safety. Meanwhile, high ground, much different visual from the last time. Early on here, Olsen and team are looking to go in and get a bit risky here as they go up and truly commit the resources it takes, but Peterbot and Boy will come right up behind them. They land the double pump onto Osin, and it happens off screen, but he falls before you know it.
Yeah, Poyo falls as well. So Peterbot again is going to be stuck by himself. 19 teams still left alive. I use the word teams loosely. There is a couple solos running around, but Peterbot, this is a whole different game. He no longer has to play to help and protect Poyo. He plays with a complete different style of freedom, and that's where you're seeing him immediately get the green light to go, realizing he's a solo. Even with damage there, he's forced to back off. Down below in the other screen, Bolts and Acorn using that med mist to get to the front side of the zone. Now they're going to crash pad, or I should say shockwave their way through all of these builds and increase their elevation. They are layering on these strategies one after the next.
Cold and Rapid want that first place seat, even if it's temporary. They are fighting their way up. Clicks and Higgs are still in the fight as well. 3 elims for them now. They had a slow early game and a fast mid to end now as things are starting to pick up for them here. Higgs eyeing up the situation, downloading what's going on around them. Shadow and Virgo sticking true to their very cat-like playstyle, just silent as ever, inching their way around, not making a fuss, not making a splash at all. This is a very non-flashy playstyle from them, and it is working.
Yeah, they're not trying to get any of that attention. They feel like, hey, if we gain attention, they're going to get targeted. As Peterbot using the last of his slurp juice, going out and around, gets the knock onto Chris, but instantly goes down shortly after. And now this opens up a lot for Acorn, for Bulge, for Cold, for Rapid, anybody that's still in the hunt. As Batman, Cho, and Lawrence, they get the exotic slap cannon. That is almost infinite heals if you have the time to let it recharge. Cold and Rapid, they're next on that list. 4th to start this game, another elimination. 3 more points plus the plate. They are rising up fast.
Definitely the worst performing game right there for Poyo and Peterbot. You know, not a lot of elims and definitely falls short, so it's going to be pretty tough. And look, Higgs is also solo right now. He's going to play the med mist deep in the storm. You know, I'm surprised we haven't seen more of these types of plays here on this kind of level of the tournament, considering how many abundant, you know, med mists we've seen in the inventories. But Cold and Rapid still turning online right now. They have jumped their way into the conversation as well.
We're going to have a new first place team after this. It's just a question of who is going to be that team. As Cold and Rapid, they're trying to condition everybody next to him, push them out. He has the drum gun in his inventory. It burns through those builds in order to find damage. Higgs still keeping it going as a solo, though, on the right, but he's running out of builds. Less than 10 left. He found himself the sweet spot on the side, but there's somebody else on the other side ready to knock on that door.
This is crazy. Cold and Rapid. Top 6 now, almost a top 5 here. Ultimate low, but he's running low on material. There it is, a good cutoff, but left camera peak, we all know, is not favorable at all. So look at how they switch the things around here. Meanwhile, Higgs is still going as he finds paper there on the low ground too. He's got material, he's playing the storm here, and he's just a disruptor in the lobby.
Yeah. Now Higgs thought he was smooth sailing, high ground pressured him, and that let Cold and Rapid notice, hey, there's somebody else around. They went in for the elimination, and these are the 2 teams that have a chance to take first. But Rapid goes down, Acorn falls as well. Bolts versus Cold down below, but it does not happen. That's I am enough with the flank as him and Teeks flying under the radar on the high ground steal away that game and take their moment.
The second time we've seen it happen now. The team on high ground just ever slowly, ever lurking, coming through and sniping that victory royale in the final moments. And just like that, game 6 is over there, Zeke.
What did I say? Anything could happen. This time it's not last place, it's 14th place. Again, guys, I don't know what's happening, but like there's just like a point in the game where we're just like high ground. I don't know. I don't know what's up there. What's high ground? I've never heard of that. And it allows these teams to just kind of slowly, they just take a deep breath. They just play out their game and it all goes their way. But for Tech and I Am Enough, man, it's a victory royale. I mean, there's prize money on the line with 2 games left to go. If they were to string this together, maybe they could bring it to the top 10, top 2. I don't know. The world is our oyster, Vivid.
I know, it's kind of crazy, right? I feel like on NA, we're kind of watching our lobbies just fizzle down, you know, just based on how all of the teams on lower ground are kind of playing, right? You would maybe expect to see a lot more plays using these shockwaves to kind of go up and take the higher ground, but I feel like a lot of the time, some of these teams on higher ground are getting this kind of like free ride all the way to the end, but they're choosing their opportunities perfectly. They know exactly when to go ahead and drop down and take that face off right now, and it's just been working out so much, and it works out perfectly this team as well.
Honestly, that was the best situation for them to be in, holding high ground there. When you have Cold and Rapid on low ground, Acorn and Bolts on low ground, Higgs as a solo on low ground as well, you really don't have to worry about anyone kind of looking up at you because there's just so much action going on the low ground that they were kind of safe to just walk on through until the very end. But of course, they did get the final elimination. I do not want to discredit their win there. They played that so well and took advantage of what was going on in the low ground.
I love it. Another piece of key information here. Peterbot Pollo did fall in that game outside of placement, and the implication is quite big. So let's take a look at the standings after this break. When we return, prepare for shock. Welcome back. Are you prepared for shock? Good, because these standings will go crazy. In the last game, I kind of talked about it. Peterbot Pollo, they fell outside of placement. You know, Viv, a little bit of a tough game for them. Kelly, we kind of talked about this a couple games ago, but you know, sometimes they kind of go crazy. They have these crazy games, and then maybe it's overconfidence, maybe it's cockiness. I don't know. But then we kind of have these games like this, Kelly, and it kind of scares me a little bit.
Yeah, you know how I was joking before how Peterbot and Pollo like to go a little silly when they already know that they're qualified? They might need to step back a little bit, reframe where they're at in this game because the first two games just look so good. That's exactly what we expected out of them. And then these last few games from Peterbot and Pollo just having these like rough late games. And it truly isn't like they're making that many mistakes, Vivid. There's just so much going on in the low ground right now. It's hard for Peterbot and Pollo to keep up.
Yeah, and as you can see right there, after that game right there, falling short of placement points, they do drop down into third place, and we have not only a new leader, but also somebody else that is in contention right now for those qualifying spots to EWC. Acorn and Bolts have kind of been holding on to that second place spot, but Cold and Rapid jumping into first place now with 310 points, and what a run that they have been on ever since game number 1 happened, right? Go all the way back to game number 1. They were on the higher ground. They fell short, 12th place. Ever since that game, they have consistently just gotten better in placement. They went from that 12th place in game number 1 to 7th, 5th, 4th, 2nd, and then a repeat there in this last game to another back-to-back 2nd place. They are playing absolutely out of their minds. As soon as they kind of gave up the idea of higher ground, they've just been dominating the low.
100%. And they're doing this play that I love where they kind of stick to the side of low ground, a little bit back. That allows them to not use too many mats. And you can see here that they're very low on that. It allows them to play a little bit safer, but also get great peaks once they do kind of push themselves to the front, going from that side to front. And that's where all the action is. And they're just able to get so many elim because they're farther away from everyone else. I love the play that we're seeing here from Cold and Rapid. It is some of the safest ways to play in-game, but also with the ability that we have from Cold and Rapid, they're still able to get those eliminations. They're coming at it from both fronts, and I'm just so impressed.
Evolution, man, right? Like the meta within the actual meta of the tournament, these guys have it figured out. And with 2 games left to go, they very well we could be looking at the winners of today. We also wanted to highlight here 2nd place now, Acorn and Bolts, right? They've been holding on to 2nd. They've been looking at Peterbot and Pollo ahead of them, just thinking like, how do we catch up? But they've stayed consistent themselves, right? Even just taking a look at some of their placements, they've not had a single game outside of top 8, Vivid. What?
Yeah, I mean, they're just playing out of their minds. Their average placement right now is 4th. They are doing so good. And honestly, you know what? Listen, you have like the best IGL on your team in Acorn Bolts, incredible fragger and everything like that. This hasn't just been done, by the way, as you know, staying alive is like that healthy duo. I mean, we've seen some solo clutches out of Bullets, but whenever these guys are able to go ahead and find it into the end game as a duo, they just do so well. It is crazy to see the consistency of Acorn as a player across not only multiple years of competition, but now multiple game modes as well.
And once again, to just kind of talk about what I was talking about with Cold and Rapid, they just play these end games so well in the low ground. You can see that once they're a little low, they'll move to the side or maybe even go to the mid ground where they can kind of take these little quick peeks to the teams that are on the low. And then once they're healthy again, that's where they push for the front, turn around, and then just let everyone fall into them. It's such a smart way to play these end games and kind of allow to control a low ground that is so uncontrollable in a mode like Reload.
The chaotic nature, man. It's all about finding like that serene calm within the chaos that is the game mode and the meta. Like, and again, these teams are just figuring it out, right? You got some that is clicked, some that are holding strong. Man, for others like Clicks and Higgs, right? We kind of continue to kind of go back and forth. This game again, Higgs was left by himself as the solo, but still a 4th place with 4 eliminations, right? Finding those clutch factors, being a solo, saying, look, even if I'm alone and I'm solo, I have to get points. I have to clutch up for us right now.
I mean, it's not being necessarily shown on the leaderboard right now because they are in 5th place and they are trailing by quite a lot of points, almost 100 behind Cold and Rapid. That game from Higgs was definitely a standout performance of the day, potentially. He was a solo from 16th and survived all the way down to 4th place, right? That was 39 points that he picked up by himself in this game, keeping them in contention, keeping them in top 5. But is time kind of running out, Kelly? We only have 2 games remaining.
Also, for him to do that with the loadout that he had, where he had, a gray pump or gray sentinel and a green AR, and to still be able to last that long and to still get eliminations, I mean, there's a reason Higgs won the solo series, and we're seeing him do that here as well.
And Viv, you called it out, right? Time is running out. 2 games left to go. Is there any advice you would give to the players right now, right? With 2 games left to go, we're looking at qualifying for EUWC or not.
Win, don't lose. There's my best piece of advice.
Oh, wow. I feel like I can't beat that, so I'm going to go with that answer.
No, Kelly, don't let him get away with that. Anyway, Fortnite fam, 2 games left to go here. Remember, we're trying to aim for the top 2. If we end in top 2, we move on directly to EWC. There's no more need for qualifiers. We're good. We're safe. If not, we're looking to go to the next qualifier. So for now, get ready because game number 7 is upon us. Casters, over to you.
You know what they say, time flies when you're having fun, and so far, these 6 games have been out of this world. We're going to be here on game number 7 with 2 chances left, Monster. It's truly anybody's game.
Yeah, our time's flying, and theirs is running out. I mean, there's only a couple of games ahead of us. The standings are closer than ever. We talked about the risk-taking from Peterbot and Poyer really loosening up their playstyle. Even the last game being hyper-aggressive, almost forcing the fights there, staying inside the zone, and it did not play off, unfortunately. So we'll see if they can actually find those early game elims here, Jacob.
Yeah, or at least some placement points. 16th, 10th, 16th. Those are the last 3 games that they've played. They got to return back to that championship form that they're looking to compete at. Game number 7 is here. Will they return? Let's find out.
Gotta love some Fortnite here. Game 7 is in front of us. The Reload Elite series is truly heating up now. And if you're just turning in, yeah, it's different. There's 8 games, right? It's not your traditional 6. We have a bit of a longer stretch, but these games are so much more faster paced and the action never stops. These are fights that we've seen now. Everyone here, Jacob, has figured out the early game dynamics. We all know the strengths and weaknesses, but the real question is, who is going to pull through now in the final moments?
Yeah, I like the way you kind of said that because that kind of hit me right now. 8 games instead of 6. Wasn't really thinking about one thing, and one thing truly is the mental game. How long you're playing throughout the day. It's the same time span, but you're running through games, and once you start to set down on yourself, then things can start an avalanche. But you start to feel that confidence, it could be a whole different story, and you're seeing the same continued fight from Boom and Base, the same uncontested fight over at Steamy Stacks. Cold and Rapid, they don't even necessarily loot the entirety of the POI, which is why you see later on in the game more and more teams coming over here for loot, because what Cold does is he gets his loadout and then he just runs for eliminations.
Look at this, Jargo and King talking about teams catching early game fast elims. Got this one happening right there, and Josh is down and out. Yamzo here just trying to pick up the broken pieces, figuring out what all went wrong here. He's on the side of the mountain too. What a desperate spot to be in. Pinched between Arc and team as well. And look, they're going to be happy, content to just keep farming them out the sky, most likely.
Ooh. Yep, just on the tail end. I was even thinking right now, even if King and Jargo don't get the elimination, he's rotating into somebody else's territory regardless. So this is going to be tough. And I think Jargo and King kind of have the right thing in their mind. In earlier games, we have seen players kind of chase around the solos. They assume, which is right, that Iamzo is boxed up right there. As long as they don't push Iamzo out of that position and continuously get the elim on a Josh, they will respawn there over and over and over for 3 free points as long as they can close out that elim.
Take a look at this, though. Yellis Demon tries to make a big play, but no, Rapid too quick on the trigger here. Turns things around, and it just shows you what happens when you are in top form. And we talked about the mental game. They are feeling good right now, and I got to give them a lot of credit because when you looked at game number 1, how things just went south, all of a sudden they are figuring things out, and the adjustment coming out of that first round is really showing off. Peterbot and Poyer, we doubted them a fair bit off of that last game aggression, but look at this. They're clawing back into it. 2 more elims picked up now.
Yeah, and it's basically both on that same player as well. When you got something that's working, you don't need to fix it because it's not broken. It's Clicks and Higgs. Again, you see them stretching out, but this time around, instead of going for elimination, Higgs setting up to try to get that drop. And one thing that we're talking about is the eliminations. Cold and Rapid have been farming a team over there game after game after game. Acorn and Bolts, I mentioned that they have not done that one singular time. They haven't even been rebooted at all in this entire tournament, and it's 11-point difference. Again, Monster, it could come down to eliminations.
Good rule of thumb right here. So when you have any advantage, you press on it. Shadow and Virgo breaking the norm here. Remember, they were hiding game after game, and this time they're like, wait a second, we have an opportunity to turn off some big eliminations, and they take full advantage of it, and they find Paper here. There goes the finish. And, you know, we were giving them that description of, hey, this is a team that's just keeping a low profile, but it seems like now it's time to pop out and play the game. Paper, though, getting targeted by Lawrence there, and, oh, look, caught by Stiff. Back into the hands, potentially, of Virgo, though, now. He falls his way into the warehouse here. We'll see who ends up securing the elim. There it is. Virgo does get it in shadow with the finish. They didn't even expect that, Jacob, but look, gifted with a second one now.
Yeah, and that's for the first time today. That stat showed up about Acorn and Bolts not rebooting at all. Paper and Rezi was that second team to have not rebooted, and then now Paper goes down twice. All good things do come to an end as Peterbot gets another elimination onto Vlex, just keeping things going for them. And honestly, with how much of a lead they've had in this tournament so far, coming into Game 7, the first time on the day not having that lead, and honestly, everything is going sideways because even Bolts finds himself getting elimination early, and you're seeing that, I wouldn't call it desperation, but every single trick is now being unleashed in these last two games because you don't want to look back at a tournament like this saying, hey, I wish I would have done something different and have those regrets.
Yeah, Bolts and Acorn was a team that was being super non-confrontational for their first 7 games, but this one just seems like you couldn't avoid it. Bolts find himself at 13 HP off the respawn here. Just an AR in hand. What do you do? What can you do here?
There's not much because you can't even wait for the zone. You have such little HP. Gonna hope to find some bandages or something as Yamzo does go down for the first time here in this game. Josh, though, able to get alive. And I spoke about earlier about how Cold and Rapid don't loot their whole POI. Josh and Yamzo are one of the few teams that have consistently rotated from their contested boom and base drop to the back end of Steamy Stacks to try to pick up that loot. And now their position, though, is going to be given away.
Just jumping back into kind of Josh's perspective here. Very strong loadout. Ambush possibly looking to kind of take shape here, but Yamzo is way out of position and hurt here as well. And this is terrible. We already know Bolts barely had anything to play with, but Acorn getting caught out. The entire plan just seems to be crumbling here.
I'm not going to take credit for that curse. It was the quick stat curse, man. Both of the teams that have not been rebooted all day long are having struggles in the 7th game. Bolts finally finding a moment here, not only to get rebooted, but you see him at the back end of that dock. He's going to start his fishing journey. That's something they do in their actual BR mode as well. So again, a lot of those tricks coming out. Acorn finally hits the ground, gets a shotgun, even a chance to heal, but they're hot on the heels. Jace with a monster shot to get Acorn's HP down low, but neither one of them really have any HP to regain outside of Aloe, so Acorn is going to go down to the zone itself.
He thought about it, tries to make a fast escape there, used the shockwaves, but Oliveira has 3 med miss, so even if he wanted to, he's got the battle on his side here. Definitely favorable terms right now for Oliveira and Jace. Meanwhile, Bolts is just sticking to the strategy of keeping a low